wondering if you're the only, I haven't heard anyone else.
Oh, yeah.
You ready? We're live but muted. I think we're ready now that James is here. Yeah, we have to do. Good morning, everyone. James, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I always forget. Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order.
All right. Pine Mountain Club Property Owners Association, Inc., Board of Directors open meeting, Saturday, August 15th, 2026, 10 a.m., Condor Room. Members are free to speak on a specific agenda item when the board chair calls for discussion on that item. If you would like to bring up a topic that is not listed on today's agenda, the appropriate time to do so is during the members' open forum. This meeting is being recorded to provide access to members and to aid the recording secretary in preparing the minutes. To ensure a respectful and constructive environment for everyone, we kindly ask that all comments be shared in a courteous and constructive manner, and remain free of personal, argumentative, and disruptive remarks or gestures. Thank you for helping us maintain a positive and inclusive space for community dialogue. Call to order. Debbie Bailey. Here. Mark Blethyn. Madison Bodorf. Here. Thomas Seglia.
Here.
Sean Coulter is excused. James Dixon.
Here.
Nicole Gates.
Here.
Randall Gates.
Here.
Andrea Schoening.
Here.
Thank you. Adopt the agenda. Resolve that the agenda for the Board of Directors meeting August 15th, 2026 be adopted.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Jim, discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries.
Approval of minutes. Motion to approve the draft minutes of the Board of Directors regular open board meeting of July 18th, 2026.
Do I have a second? All right. Discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes? All right, motion carries. Thank you.
Please note that all PMC POA governing documents affected by approved resolutions and motions in these minutes have been updated to reflect the approved changes. Consent agenda. Consent agenda opportunity for public comment. All items listed under the consent agenda items are considered to be routine and non-controversial. Consent agenda items will be considered first and may be approved by one motion if no member of the board wishes to comment or ask questions. If comment or discussion is desired by anyone in the audience, the item may be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered in listed sequence with an opportunity for any member to address the board concerning the item before action is taken. Do you want to approve?
Yeah, let's do all at once.
Okay. So motion to approve the consent agenda?
May I have a second on approving the consent agenda?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the consent agenda? Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Officer reports. Chair's report.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to begin with a few updates, followed by some important clarification on several topics that have recently been a source of misunderstanding within the community. To begin with, you may notice that the agenda item, or the agenda organization has changed. We would like to carry this change forward. The Directors Forum has been moved up in the agenda in an effort to help better communicate important committee activities and updates, while also holding this space for directors in the case that they wish to use the forum to address a specific topic. It is a trend that many audience members attend only through members' open forum in our open board meetings. So I hope that this change, which was suggested by Director Coulter, will facilitate greater engagement with our audience and with those who view online. But it's especially important when there are committee events and projects that are announced. We would like those better communicated to members. I also want to address a change members may have noticed who are present in our meeting today. The back row of chairs have been removed due to several months of ongoing disruption from a single group after repeated requests that they adhere to meeting standards of decorum and basic respect. In addition, although Patrol is not present at the moment, we will ask them to be present if necessary because of ongoing instances of inappropriate language, specifically profanity, being directed toward board members from individuals in this same group. Members are entitled to disagree with the board. They're entitled to criticize decisions, question policies, express frustration, and advocate strongly for a course of action. What is not acceptable is offensive or disruptive behavior, and it will no longer be tolerated. We will continue to provide members with the opportunity to communicate and even disagree. We will also continue to expect basic standards of appropriate conduct. I would also like to take this opportunity to clarify respective roles of the board and management, as there continues to be some confusion regarding which matters fall under the authority of each. The board is responsible for governance. It establishes policy, approves budgets, major expenditures, provides direction, and oversees the general manager. The general manager, in turn, is responsible for the supervision of association employees and for day-to-day operation of the association and amenities. This distinction is important. The board as a whole should not direct daily operations or attempt to function as management. Likewise, many operational questions or concerns can be addressed much more effectively by contacting management of the appropriate department directly. Our responsibility as a board is to establish expectations, provide oversight, and hold management accountable for carrying out the direction of the association. But we are not here to micromanage our management team and staff. Finally, I would like to address a narrative that has begun circulating regarding this board's position on our facilities and assessments. There appears to be an assumption that because this board has expressed concern about fiscal responsibility, we somehow do not support maintaining or improving our facilities. That is simply not true. There's also an argument being made that lower assessment necessarily means accepting lower standards, deteriorating facilities, and a diminished community. I reject that misconception as well. The choice before us is not between spending more money and having a beautiful community or spending less money and allowing Pine Mountain Club to deteriorate. There is a very large and responsible middle ground. Our responsibility is to maintain the facilities and infrastructure entrusted to us, address deferred maintenance, plan responsibly for future needs, and make thoughtful improvements where those improvements provide meaningful value to the membership. At the same time, we have an equally important responsibility to remember who we are asking to pay for it and whether the choices we make are reflective of the overall wants and needs of our community. This question matters when we make financial decisions. This does not mean we should stop investing in our community assets. It means that every dollar we ask our members to contribute should be treated with respect. Fiscal responsibility is not the opposite of maintaining our facilities. In fact, responsible stewardship requires both fiscal responsibility and ongoing maintenance, as well as updates, et cetera, improvements, all of it. We should be maintaining and updating what we have while planning for responsible change. And where an upgrade or improvement makes sense, we should be willing to invest in it in a transparent and ethical way that keeps members fully informed. Spending more should never become a substitute for constructive solutions that better suit our needs and common goals. Nor should the success of this board or association be measured by how high of an assessment the membership is willing or able to absorb. Our goal should be to provide the greatest possible value for the assessments we collect, while preserving the character, amenities, and quality of life that make Pine Mountain Club special. This requires balance. It requires recognizing that some members want additional amenities and improvements, while others are deeply concerned about affordability. Neither perspective should simply be dismissed. Our job as directors is not to govern from one extreme or the other. It is to listen to the membership, evaluate the information available to us, distinguish between needs and wants, plan responsibly, and make decisions that serve the long-term interests of the association and our membership as a whole. I believe we can maintain and improve this community while also respecting the financial realities of the people who call it home. These goals are not incompatible. They are both part of responsible stewardship. Thank you.
Thank you. General Manager's report.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Admin updates. We'll start with the admin updates. Employee of the month for August is Jordan Beal. He's our pool tech. He works on greens and grounds, and he was the former safety lead. When I started, he sole-handedly was overseeing all safety functions. Incredible employee. Great job, Jordan, and appreciate him every day. Accounting, several updates on accounting. The ACH, Automated Clearinghouse, that's where you can sign up and have monthly payments. We're still working on that, and the online credit card processing, so that's still in progress, working with our vendors to get that online. Account statements were just sent out with an added letter that I wrote, just to inform our members of possible fees that can incur after September 15th. So we're seeing some positive effects of that. New electronic purchase order system process form has just been created. It's great. Everything was manual, and it's hard to control in a manual process. With this process, each PO submitter will have all the GL codes that they need to apply to the purchases, also have a running balance to make sure they're staying within budget. Once they submit it, it'll escalate and notify the approver. Once it's approved, then they can, do the purchase. When it's received, completed, we also get a notification that it's done. So it's huge strides on automation versus manual. We'll continue to do that. We finally linked up also with the USPS. It's been a conversation in the past months, and I started on it last year, finding out that our contract postal unit contract was nearly 10 years old last year. This year it's actually hitting about 10 years. The contract can actually be revisited every few years with the government, so we will be doing that. The target is this month to complete. I'll work with the accounting manager to get that done. What we're asking for is proper compensation due to inflation, COLA, cost of living adjustments that the government should understand So, very much looking forward to seeing a positive result from that, and hopefully get us very close to break even on the post office. That'd be great. Let's see, sorry about that. Okay. Solar. Solar is going to be another thing. Looking at our annual bill for Edison for the clubhouse and mainly the clubhouse, it's a large bill, 6-figure bill. So started talking to solar consultants, 3 of them, and Azumi Tanaka, she's one of our members. She's been a very strong advocate. She's been very, very much quarterbacking this. We're in the final stages of getting the proposals completed. We'll get those in front of the EC committee, from EC committee to the board, and then, back to the vendor as necessary to get a thorough understanding on the option. So we're looking at the options. Funding is going to be the critical aspect of the solar proposal. So as soon as we get more traction on it and discussion on it, we'll see how that pans out. Very optimistic on that, though. If you think of our total bill today and being 98.5% off of the grid, it's just a tremendous amount of revenue saved. Human resources. We started last fall, I believe, but we're updating the employee handbook, and that's primarily to make sure that we're compliant with any new laws in California. We are focused on a few things to ensure that we're compliant. Performance management is another area that we're going to advance a little further from when I started. I'm in the process of developing metrics. So if we can't measure it, we can't improve it. So we'll set up department metrics. I got a bunch that I can think of, and we'll discuss those. Make sure we have reports, enduring reports that can be easily reviewed monthly so that we can ensure that the positive results are happening. For example, Ferns Lake. Ferns Lake is an amenity that, access has become an issue, especially in the summer. It wasn't on my radar so much last year, but this year it really became an issue. A lot of the members that live around the lake, there's loud music, there's non-members. So I am aware that Ferns Lake is for members and guests. Patrol has come up with a process where they're going to start surveying. They're going to go out Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and they've already begun. But they'll ask, if you're a member, they'll ask if you're a guest, and if you're a non-member, you'll be asked to leave. So that will be one of the first metrics, I think, for Patrol, for us to measure the effectiveness of that process. Ideally, we'll see the non-member number just decline, and eventually those same folks won't come back. Also focusing on enforcement of parking and towing and whatever else we need to do. It is difficult with 7 parking spots. Very difficult amenity to manage, but we're gonna give it a very strong effort. Maintenance operations, joint team effort, punching the fairways. So we're doing what we can to take care of the fairways and the greens. Punching the fairways, punching the greens, typically a vendor would do that. To punch a green, a vendor, punch a couple greens, that's $1,700. We punch it ourselves now. For our recent, 5 fairways that we punched, I'm not sure how to calculate it, but probably a $5,000–6,000 bill, but great joint effort. Greens and Grounds teams up with maintenance, and I went out there and observed it. Great job. They know what they're doing. Roto Chopper, that's our big one in maintenance to keep a very close eye on. We've had multiple repairs. A lot of the damage is because of the metal objects that are dropped off. So, everybody out there, members, everyone, just be cognizant of what you're dropping. No construction material can be dropped at the greenways, no metal. We do a good job of ensuring that, we're going through the material, but, that's a backhoe. I mean, that's equipment. It's hard to isolate on every little item. So just be very cognizant of what you're dropping off. That belt, if that belt gets damaged, even, one more time, I think repairability is not going to be possible. We'd have to replace the whole belt, and that's about a $13,000 bill or something. So we're keeping a close eye. Weed abatement. So that's the big push this summer. Obviously, weed abatement's in progress, trailheads, various areas of the property, especially the tennis courts. I've had complaints about the tennis court area. The disc sign, the PMC sign by the tennis court. So we're addressing it. Take a look. Weeding has been done there. There's a few other spots by the trailhead, but we're working on it. One of the trial beta procedures that we're using, we have a maintenance form now. It's literally behind your member login. We tested it out, had a couple folks test it out. I use it daily now. If I get a call or an email or a verbal on anything that needs to be done in the association, I jam out a maintenance work request. It gets triggered to a spreadsheet. Maintenance manager gets an email. So another effort in automation. It's really going to just make things more efficient, quicker, and we'll be able to determine what's not being done. If something's not being resolved, then we'll come up with a plan to schedule resources to get it done. But so far, it's working out great. I'm going to put a message out today to the membership on that new form, but some have probably already seen it. But you log in, behind the member login, it's right there on the first page. So definitely try it out. I think we're going to get more, we'll get more productivity and we'll be able to provide better service and get things resolved just by knowing what's out there. We can't possibly know every area that has to be addressed, but the members can let us know. So that's great. I think we've been pushing for an automated work order request since I started. So it's great. It's great. Roadworks underway, obviously after the flash flood, the rain, so they're addressing the flash flood crossings. Also, you see the sweeper out there. I saw the Timco running down Woodland. It was nice to see it out there. It operates. It is not broken. I know there's some public comments, Facebook, whatnot, that it's broken. It's not broken. Yes, there's a defect, but it is operable. We can use it. We just have to be very careful when we dump it. When we dump it, it has a hopper. Debris starts kicking out, and in the past it had kicked out, got into the radiator compartment and damaged the radiator. So we're very careful when we dump it to ensure nothing gets into the engine compartment. But it is working. Golf course, I got a thorough update on the greens and grounds update, so stand by on that. Pool's still open. I just leave that as a standing remark on my GM update because every day I just, we just need the pool open every day, no matter what it takes. Going forward though, I have communicated with at least one of our vendors, Slater, who actually put in the pool system. They are going to come out and do an assessment on what we need done. If it's reconfiguring, whatever was done incorrectly. Per the vendor, they installed the pool system in accordance with the contract and the design. So they had to install it per the design to get paid. Unfortunately, I think the design was flawed. Obviously, I've only been here a year, but two pool seasons I've been here, and we've had issues every start of the year, and that has just got to stop. So we will do a comprehensive assessment. We will get all the components added into the reserve budget, and we'll be better set to make sure the pool is efficient. Condor Lounge and Restaurant. Lots of focus on Condor Restaurant and Lounge. We're focusing on inventory management still. you know, beginning with the liquor inventory. So we've done some adjustments. We're also going to adjust the menu offerings in accordance with the food purchases. The food purchases are going to be in accordance with the data from our North Star accounting data. It shows what sells. It shows the big hitters. So we will apply that data, let the data lead the way. It will tell us what we need to purchase. And now I'm really focused on improving supplier costs. We are paying higher costs on food, obviously, because it's getting trucked in. But it's not just that. The food prices are still increasing, but we have another supplier that we've used throughout these years, you know, discovering this, you know, in the last month or two. But the other supplier is a wholesale supplier, Restaurant Depot, and they have better prices, 20% below our suppliers. So we're going to line up all the food items that we're going to purchase, look at the numbers, be able to forecast and budget better. But we should see a 20% reduction on food cost purchases monthly. So the sooner we do it, the sooner we see the savings. But not trying to drive what we offer necessarily, just trying to drive the offerings and the menu in accordance to what's selling. If you come on a Thursday night, you'll know what sells. Thursday night's a local night. I mean, come on out on a Thursday night. It is packed, and that's the best time to really, understand what we can offer. And it's a great bite. I mean, it's a great restaurant. Thursday night's the night to come. Check it out. Question Center, current update. So we're still working on the charter school programs with Heartland Charter Schools. That's the first application we started. I thought I had it done. I was ready to submit, and we ran into a snag. So we have a delay, probably a couple months. In order to submit as a vendor, we have to submit a live scan on the program instructor, Lori Harmon, and that's a DOJ check, and we're not set up for that. Our only live scans that we do are for the ABC license. So I had to apply. It was kind of an extensive online packet, but got it done. Now we're waiting 4 weeks for that to turn. Then we'll get the live scans done. We'll get the packet in. That's another 3-4 week turn with Heartland Charter Schools to approve us. And then we'll be hot. We'll be going hot on our programs. There's lots of brochures out there, and we're trying to get as much interest, around the programs. Also talking to another charter school program. It's called iLead. We actually have to be referred by parents. So we have 2 members that are referring us. So we're waiting for an email on that so we can start acting on that. Let's see. Also, quarterly reviews. So we're going to be doing quarterly reviews of departments. For EC, on the quarterly review, we'll be looking at the costs, operating costs. We'll be forecasting revenue in association with these charter programs. So that will be discussed at the quarterly review, and that should help us see a better path to the end of the year. Fire mitigation, digital maps. I was all excited about it because I got a few updates on it. We have a map that was created, and it just kind of lost momentum, primarily because the individual that was helping us on the current Fire Safe Council, he's taken on another role. But I reached out to James Douglas out there, James, RSN. He's the RSN creator, an amazing guy. He's willing to help. He's also an ArcGIS guy, and that can help us with our maps. The maps are critical. I'm just going to keep pushing until we get a very updated map, at least with current work and past work. Going forward on work that's happening currently, we'll get that data as we go. But all the data that's sitting, we just need that data. We need to have that map updated. That's going to help anybody in the role, association management role, to understand what's being done and to be able to have the conversations with all these stakeholders on future grants. It's really going to help us out. Goat grazing, we had a discussion, I think, last month, and it was just a discussion. I would definitely defer to the board and EC. That's what I do. But I am trying to get 2 other quotes, and we'll just continue to discuss that. If it were to come to fruition and if it were to be approved, I've already taken the next step and reached out to Chief Kennison, who's administering our $860,000 grant, CAL FIRE grant, and I've asked, I know the CAL FIRE grant allows for goat grazing as part of the grant. So I've asked him to see if he could match our $50K to take us to $100K on our Greenbelt funding. And if goat grazing were approved, I mean, we would get triple acreage of the mitigation. So I'm very hopeful. I followed up. I sent him the email and it just got silent. I didn't see anything. So I did a very polite follow-up. I'm very anxious, optimistic that he would be willing to do that. I don't know if he can or not, but if he can, if it's within their rights to do that, I'm optimistic that he might help us out here. Biofuel, I may need to reach out to the EC committee. I'm not sure. Biofuel and getting rid of our slash, I'm at a standstill. I have no motion on it. I'm not sure what we can do. I assume that there has to be some type of grant out there that can help mitigate the transportation costs to truck this stuff out of here. That's all I'm looking for. So the only thing I have is a conversation with a member that does write grants. So just, when he can put some time on it, I'm trying to work that forward. So if anybody out there has any information that could help me, please reach out to me, please. Let's see. All right. Oh, CERT and public safety, evacuation, emergency management, everything that we talk about frequently at EP and CERT. CERT commanders Mark Greco, EP chairs Mark Greco. He's taken on a lot right now, but he sent me a draft evacuation plan. At the most recent EP meeting, we were talking about it. Last year at a round table with the county supervisor, we had the conversation. I did, Mark did, with the county supervisor and the head of the EOC in Bakersfield. And we asked that we start working together with county to ensure that we know what we're doing, they know what we're doing, that we work together as partners to make sure that we're doing things appropriately. I mean, we're talking about life-saving measures here. We're talking about timelines, reports. A lot of stuff goes into managing an emergency. An incident command post has to be stood up. So CERT is there. CERT is at a very high level. I attend as many meetings as I can, but currently they have the incident command structure and procedures in place with roles identified. He sent me a draft evacuation plan. It's not specific to any emergency that could occur, but it has the essential structure, the locations, traffic control points, assembly areas, medevac, evac, aid and litter, all the stuff that's necessary to manage an emergency. So great job on CERT. We have come a long way now, a very long way now. It's very comprehensive. Next Saturday, they're gonna have the first evacuation drill from 11 to 2. I think they're gonna put out a flyer communication on that. And I don't know if I'm gonna be here or not. I'm still trying to check with my wife, but it's great because it forces the function of how to manage an emergency, if I were here or not. So I'm in that mode to understand what I need to do. But just know that I think in the next month or two, we're gonna have a very solid procedure and be able to communicate a plan out to the members so that they know what to do. We can't do a lot more than provide information, provide immediate support, and identify folks that need additional support. Folks that are, not ambulatory, folks that cannot drive, folks that have in-home care. So the next steps after this exercise on Saturday, I think, will open the door to getting us further along, and it's great. It's great. Sorry about that. Clubhouse current update: 4 bids, 4 pending on the roof. Flooring, we got 5 bids plus 1 pending. Painting, we have 4 bids. Siding, we're holding off until we get a thorough HVAC assessment. And then recently, Admin Officer Leilani Zielinski and I met with the EC committee. We're maintaining communications with the EC committee because as soon as the bids are finalized, and that should be very soon, we're gonna submit them or provide access in SharePoint to the committee liaisons. And they can start discussing, reviewing the bids. If we have to kick them back to the contractors, we'll do that. So we'll start getting in the mode of analyzing and assessing the bids. Once it advances past DC, it'll go to the board. The board will discuss it. If there's further information needed, the board will kick it back to the EC committee, and we'll proceed with that until it goes back to the board for decision. What we get done and when is just going to be based on when those reviews are done. I know it's pressing. It's obviously pressing from day one that I walked in here. But we don't want to get into a hurry. There's contracts that'll have to be laid out. And if it's winter, then obviously we'd probably do interior work versus exterior. But we won't drive the timeline. We'll just drive the process. Committees, please join a committee if you are interested. There's a lot of initiatives that are happening. It's a huge task. It's a huge responsibility being on a committee. I just always take a minute to ask for any volunteers that are interested to just reach out. If you want to just talk about the committees, we can get you in touch with the liaisons and committee chairs. But if you have a real interest, I recommend talking to someone. Safety, I always close with, drive safely, please. 25 miles an hour. We've had accidents, and we'll have more. And we don't want any fatalities. We don't want any serious injuries. We don't want any property damage. Just, please abide by the 25 miles per hour. That's what it is. It's 35 out here as you get close to the community. Just stay cognizant of the speed. Thank you.
Thank you. Treasurer's report.
Okay. Let's see.
Can everyone in the
There we go. I
audience
was waiting
see the
for that.
screen? You guys able to see it? Raymond, you might not be able to, but okay.
There we are.
You could adjust it slightly.
There we go.
Looks like James is going to go move it out a little bit.
And it's, that page is on the people here in person. It's on the last page of their agenda. And again, I'm going to, good morning. The numbers for July, first month of this new fiscal year, have been reviewed by the subcommittee of the board, and the Budget and Finance Committee met last Wednesday and in detail went through the entire 22 pages and recommended the financial package for board approval. Can you hear me all right? Is that all right? Okay. And just if anybody has, we will have the ever-moving town hall once the audit report's out, once the June 30th audit for this last year is done. It has to be issued in, it'll be approved, I guess, in the October board meeting. Then I think the week after that, we should have a town hall where we can address any and all questions that anybody has and have the time to really thoroughly respond instead of this forum, which is always difficult to keep on track. And in the interim, though, even though if you're not a member on the Budget and Finance Committee, you're always welcome to be a guest to listen in. And we're going to try to have a section for guest comments if there's anything that wasn't covered during the detailed review, because it's a complicated little place. We got a lot going on. But now, okay. George, can you put up the recap? You have that? Now I can't see it. Oh, there we go.
Sorry.
Oh, there we go. You have the shorter one that is just the summary?
Here, I can aim it.
Oh, it's on? Okay, sorry. Technology, always our friend. Okay, yeah, okay, good. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure it's up. Just because I know that first page has a lot of numbers, and that sometimes that induces coma. This is just the short version of that. You know, as far as incoming, our revenues are our assessment, allocated assessment month by month. That is off a little bit just because the denominator is always a little different than it is in reality. And we're pretty much on track this year for interest, sales, and other fee income. So not much going on the top line there. Operating expenses looks like we need to explain why we're 419,984 less expenditures during this month. So I'm just going to hit the high points. This will be in the board recap in detail. But really, there's a very simple explanation for all of that. So I'm just going to run through really the top three of the items that have affected the operating expenses, being basically 420,000 below budget, which is pretty much where we are bottom line. So we're off to a start. I'll start with the simple ones. General administrative expense is pretty much 17,000 lower than budgeted expenses. And a little savings in payroll, and there's always a little timing difference. Insurance deductible contingency is, I guess, 15,000 a month, but that's where we have to cover an insurance claim, and that's our self-retained contingency amount, and nothing was submitted, so nothing was paid. So it's just, by the end of the year, it should average out, but it gets difficult. Maintenance operations is where the big dollars are, and as all of you have seen, probably the signs on the road treatment and the road pavement. That was originally planned for July and budgeted for July, 325,000 for basically crack filling. It's a little more comprehensive than it's been in the past. They're going to have more hot tar on the cracks before the overlay is placed, so they should be a little more durable. And that'll be here in August. So again, timing differences are pretty common. So that's really 325,000 of the reason we're under for the month. And then Pro Shop continues continues to function very well. Not a big contributor, but instead of a budgeted loss of $2,500, they're a surplus of $3,400. Much more patronage. I believe the golf cart's functioning and be able to be used without having to be recharged for. The old golf carts had lead acid batteries, and they weren't as durable, and they were kind of worn out. I believe we have, 10 functional carts now? And
Yeah.
And it's showing up in green fees and patronage. So pool net expense was a little off, and that's the beauty of actually having timely financial information now. There was some misunderstanding on the staffing, I guess, for the, what do we call the people who monitor them? Thank you, attendance. Right. It's been a long year. There was some confusion on the attendance, but we have, again, information showed it. It's already been addressed, and it will be remedied as we go forward. So again, timely financial information. What a concept, right? Cash balances. We have basically 2.8 million in the operating fund and 4.7 million in the reserve fund. The numbers, there's basically $1.15 million in transit at the end of July, just due to some, we are investing in T-bills now, which roll over, no commission, very effective. One of them didn't roll over because I believe it was one of the earlier ones. We were still trying it out. So it sent the cash back instead of automatically rolling over. So that's $500,000 that should be in the reserve balance. And there's also, I guess, the 600, the reserve contribution for the year, George, is also will go out in August? Okay, yeah, just timing difference. Some months you have 3 weeks from the prior month to the board meeting. Some months you have 2 weeks. This is a 2-week month. You have to basically, for George and his crew, they have to really go on hyperdrive to get everything done a week earlier. But so basically, the bottom line is we have 7.6 million in cash, almost 9 in reserves, and 1.7 in operating funds after that 1 million timing difference is corrected. I hope that makes sense, but it's good to have money and it's in the right place and it's being spent carefully. Assessments receivable. Can you, oh, there we go. Thank you, George. Good timing. We're still having, we can still see the effects of the economy on how people are paying bills, and everything's getting more expensive. The good news, and I know there's a concerted effort to really help remind people that the amount for the assessment may be a big one-time payment. We've talked about very soon on the website, you'll be able to do is put in a monthly amount and just have it automatically deducted, which will make it easier to not have a big payment at the end of the year. And I know James just sent out a letter reminding people that once it goes to collections, it's out of our control, and there's a lot of fees that add up. So it's best to get it done ahead of time. The good news is we're actually better by 415,000 than we were last year at this time. Where we still have assessments in arrears, which are higher than normal, we've had more prompt payments. And so at this time last year, only 48% of the current memberships had paid, and this year it's 52. It makes everybody's life easier on both sides if we can help remind people these assessments need to be paid and get the funds in, and ideally very soon on a monthly basis. So it'd just be an automatic payment and no big surprise. But, and the reserve fund utilization shows 30,000. Those are the items on the agenda today for approval by the board. We have a pool pump that couldn't be delayed because you'd have to shut down the pool. And it had to be fixed immediately, and 2 items in the kitchen that were at risk of forcing the kitchen to be down if we didn't get them replaced. So they've been put off for quite a while. But so far so good. First month of the year, we're in a good position. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Motion to ratify the draft of the association's July 2026 financials in accordance with Civil Code 5500 and 5501.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, do I have a second? Second by
Thank you.
Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the draft July 2026 financials? Okay, motion carries.
And one quick comment. Now that the website is up and functional, after these are approved today, the financials should be updated, I'm assuming Monday, on, Leilani's, she'll be back on Monday, right? Well, these should be ideally updated on a timely basis. Now, there's been delays in the past. But I'll check on Monday morning with her and make sure they're up there. If anybody wants to dig any deeper, they're more than welcome to.
Okay, thank you. All right, now we're moving on to Directors Forum in a new place on the agenda. And I have to go first because of alphabetical order. Okay, so Bear Committee, I have lots of updates. We have 2 committee members, the most dedicated women I've ever known. If we could get more committee members, that would be so great. So please, we did have a lot of extra people coming to our last meeting, which I think we should have anticipated, but we were surprised. And it was people who had had some bear incidents at their homes, because it is the summer. So this is when it happens more. So they were concerned members, but they all left feeling supported and like they had been given more resources and connections to new hardening techniques, and it was a very productive meeting. And maybe a couple of them will join, but I've learned that people will say that and then they don't. So if anyone's listening and they would love to come help us in our committee, or even just come visit once and see what we do, that would be greatly appreciated. One of our committee members, our chair, did have a table at the Member Appreciation Day, and she connected with a lot of members and gave out resources. So that was amazing. And the 2 committee members are always looking for opportunities to continue spreading bear awareness in our community. There are some fish and wildlife updates. I'm not going to give specifics, I think, just to protect kind of the things they're doing in the community right now. But there are some bear traps out there, and they are actively trying to support our community right now, just so everybody knows. Patrol reported 32 bear break-ins in July and 22 attempted bear break-ins. It's a little lower than last year. They are reporting a pattern with part-time seasonal homes being the #1 broken into type of home. And if you would like any resources, you can email us at bearsupport@pmcpoa.com. We are looking for new bear ambassador. We're looking for 2. Actually, we think it will be a good idea to have 2. So we're kind of, reconfiguring our idea about how to best serve the community with our bear ambassador role, which is a volunteer position, and maybe having a more behind-the-scenes person who can handle the emails and the data entry and looking for patterns, person that's oriented that way, and then a more public-facing person who's willing to work directly with people, maybe go to homes, work with patrol more, and be a more public-facing support. So I'll be posting about that. If you're interested, let me know. And you're going to have our committee supporting you all the way through, and we have all the resources ready for you. We have everything ready. You just have to be willing to support the community like head on, but we have everything ready for you. Okay. And then we've been working on and completed, it's been sort of presented to the board, to general manager, but an STR campaign for bears. And then I also separately did one for fires. But we're going to try to have better communication with our STR folks up here. We noticed some patterns where trash was being left out, some unintentional feeding, some intentional feeding with bears and STRs. So trying to revamp all those materials so they're modern and more clear, and there's language there about fines and the law and patrol, and then also having just more regular communication with those STR owners so they're more, I don't know if scared's the right word, but responsible. And yeah, so we're working on that both with bears and fires. And so that's great. And what else is on my list? Oh, we have thrown out there a few Bear Blast emails, which will be a special bear-only email you get from the POA. and hopefully that gets more regular. And there is a cool guest speaker coming that's going to be like a town hall guest speaker situation from the Bear Committee, that is a new company that is serving Kern County, Ventura County, and they charge a pretty reasonable fee to come to your home, sort of like Kern Firewise. Oh no, but whoever comes to your, George knows. Anyway, whoever comes to your house and looks at it and says, this is what you could do to be more fire safe with your house, but they do it for bears. And yeah, and for like $100 or something, they'll help you, and then they might even do some of those things for you or give you the resources. So that those people are going to come and talk to our community, and when we have details for that, I'll let you know. So we're doing a ton of things with the three of us, and please help us. Thank you very much. Okay, yay! All right, now we're on to Director Randall Gates for Budget and Finance.
Thank you. It's hard, it's difficult to follow medicine.
Oh, thanks.
A hard act to follow.
Okay.
Thank you. I didn't phrase that right.
We knew what you meant, though.
Yeah.
It was a compliment.
Budget and Finance Committee met last Wednesday at 5 p.m., 5 to 7 on Zoom. Elizabeth Gower as chair. We had a quorum. Basically, well, George reviews in detail everything on the 22 pages of financial information that we publish monthly. And we're spending more time going into a lot of the policies and procedures that underlie these numbers and not just numbers. One of the items is still looking at delinquencies and how we can help members avoid getting into a situation where they may have a forbearance and fall out, or where they may start accruing fees that once it goes to the agency, they're beyond our control. We can't waive them. But there's also the question of collectability, and so there's a lot of deep diving into cutting the information into more intelligent segments to where you have lots that maybe rotate frequently due to tax sales, and we have more homes now that are delinquent, and the goal is to avoid foreclosure and at the same time not incur fees that aren't going to get paid. If there's a lien on a house and we initiate foreclosure, then the odds are we're probably going to incur costs that we'll never get back. It's termed a senior wipeout, but I still take offense at that. But it's senior lien wipeout. But again, it's, the whole area, it's a sensitive subject. Nobody wants to make life more difficult for anyone. And so there's a lot of effort going into that, and that's been discussed. This also in North Star data system just keeps providing information that's useful. I mean, this PO system, purchase order system, sounds make life easier and actually more efficient. It was done manually. And also the point of sale system, which is now working. The tow system wasn't, and now they're able to look at what sells in the Condor, what isn't selling, and actually have data to make decisions by. So what a concept, right? But we're going, again, the website has been a bit of a roadblock in the past, but when the financials that go to the Budget and Finance Committee are out, the goal is going to be to put those on the website at the same time. So anybody and everybody, if they have questions, then try not to send individual emails. Ideally, show up as a guest at Budget and Finance so we can aggregate and have everybody benefit from the question. And the same thing for directors at the time. We have a subcommittee that does the detailed work, but if somebody's looking at something and has a question, there'll be a section, I was talking with George, there'll be a section at the end of the Budget and Finance Committee where we'll have guests, if something wasn't addressed in the formal presentation, assuming it's manageable and can be addressed at that time, otherwise we might have to get back to them. But at least there'll be a way of not having, again, multiple emails come in with multiple questions. It should be more efficient. But basically, the financials should be posted timely. And I don't know if we want to make that notice. Make the notice to Budget and Finance when we send out the draft. These are preliminary, not approved yet. But I think those will be up there with a draft stamp, and then they'll be replaced with the approved stamp once the board weighs in, but at least to give people more opportunity to take a look. And if you want to join the committee instead of just being a guest, that's always an option as well. But more eyes, the better. So other than that, off to a good start.
Thank you. Okay, Director Blethyn for communications.
Thank you, Madison. The communications.
Maybe just get closer. Try again. Oh, yeah, maybe use Randy.
So Communications Committee met last Tuesday afternoon, and they're continuing to work on their primary project, which is the new member packet or handbook, if you will. I think it's going to be a vast improvement over the packet that has been going out over recent years. I know the one that we received when we purchased our home, it was just kind of a mess, and this is going to be a great improvement. At the committee meeting, a couple of the committee members from Emergency Preparedness were there, and there was some discussion among the two committees about collaboration and the dissemination of communications. And I think that's a great idea, and I actually think that if this sets up the way it looks like, this might be a blueprint for other committees working with communications to collaborate on how this information gets out to the membership. I think it's going to be, it's helpful for the information to get to the members in multiple ways, so we all have multiple ways to see the information that's important. And as a final plug, the committee is actively looking for additional new and maybe potentially returning members. They could use some help, and I think this is important to all of us. So if you're looking for something to volunteer, communications would be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Dixon for emergency preparedness.
So both James and I attended the EP meeting as well as the follow-on CERT meeting weekend before last, and definitely a huge improvement in establishing some NIMS and ICS procedures. It seems like it's kind of a new concept to some of the people in CERT, but Mark Greco seems to have it pretty much on lockdown. The one thing they were deficient in, which James actually offered them some assistance with, was a comprehensive evacuation plan. And I think the few things with that may be able to be polished out will be ironed out next weekend during the drill, so they can see where their inefficiencies and stopgaps are. Aside from that, I think it's positive progress. I will personally be reaching out to the chief, or I haven't really dealt with fire yet, but whoever runs that station, I'm going to be meeting with them. I have a meeting with the CHP commanding officer in Lebec on Monday, and I'm scheduling something with the Kern County sergeant who's in charge of the substation, just to kind of make sure we're all on the same page when it comes to emergency preparedness and law enforcement response in the community. I think that's basically it in a brief nutshell. James already covered some of this in his GM briefing, but more to follow.
Jim, just so that we can update the audience a bit more clearly, there is a drill scheduled for next Saturday.
Yes, James mentioned that as well. On the 22nd, there is a evacuation drill that's scheduled to be conducted. So if you want to participate or observe, that will be going on based out of the CERT building initially.
What time?
Do we know what time it begins?
11 to 2 so far, but we'll get that firmed up and get a flyer out. But,
Something I noticed this morning on the way in, I don't know if this was taken into account, the road in front of CERT is going to be closed on the 20th. It didn't say for how long, so if that's going to be a multi-day road closure due to VSS resurfacing, we may need to either reschedule or relocate where that drill is going to operate out of.
Thank you. And so when James gets those details finalized to provide notification to members, we will update you on any location change or other item.
Sorry. Okay. Director Schoening for Environmental Control.
I had to miss this meeting and will update you guys next time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Director Williams for Family Resource Ad Hoc Committee.
Family Resource is Dark.
Okay. Director Randall Gates for Governing Documents.
Governing documents met as usual the first Saturday of the month. New officers were elected. Paul Mobley being chair, Legle Ramos being vice chair, and not a lot on the agenda right now for the committee. There's not going to be a lot of bylaws being amended during the year anymore. We have really the board looking at the policies and management looking at the policy. We're breaking governing docs, we have policies and rules, and the policies are kind of trying to think of a nice word for it. Some don't need to be there, some need to be edited, some should be employee manuals, some should be forward-facing for the members to see. The thought at this point is let's have management weigh in on the ones and the ones that are really like, where does the pink copy of the purchase order go? Maybe we don't have those colors anymore with the new system. So we're trying to take a cut ahead of time, and then the board will look at the ones that affect governance and should be forward-facing, and then these will all be redlined, and then governing docs will have an opportunity to be given something that requires review. I think the other way around would not be efficient, but it's going to slow things down for that reason. So at this point, it's really more just getting organized and prepared, and I'm not sure what we may just, we've had some historic issues come before governing docs. It might be good to review just for educational purposes for the new committee, but more members the better, even though it'll probably be off to a slow start. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. General Manager Williams for Greens and Grounds.
Okay, Greens and Grounds met the other week on Friday. The chair is David Gardner. 603 rounds, down slightly from last year. SGCA rating, I think I talked about that last month. Tentative September 29th. 2 groups will come play 18 rounds with a few of our locals, and then they'll be doing the slope analysis or updates or ratings that they do. It's exciting. I don't know what it leads to other than golfers get a very accurate look on how difficult our course is. They suggested at the meeting, the previous meeting, they suggested an adopt the hole concept. So I drafted a document. It's going to be on the next meeting's agenda to talk about that. That would be where, a member, kind of like the adopt the highway concept. So we have folks adopt the hole, help us in some of the basic care, maintenance of that hole. It's a great idea. We'll see if it takes off. 2 volunteers for gopher abatement using sulfur bombs or live traps. I think we're just trying to go with the least invasive method, but effective. So in the mode of identifying the PPE and training to ensure there's no injury. Also submitted the volunteer names to our insurance under our volunteer accident policy. Memorial Tournament is going on today, I think, right now, today and tomorrow. So that's exciting. Lake level is good, according to Mike Pierce. Great job. Number 5 tee box has just been the tee box that just has become more difficult. Previously, last year, we had just seeded it, ensured we had water on it. It's not working. I mean, that tee box is just in a tough spot, a little rocky spot. So phase 2, so we punched it. We have it sectioned off and closed down. It's germinating now, is what I heard. Germination reported. So that should help us out. It's just, and then also relocating the actual tees to make sure it's in an area of the box that we can manage forward. Not trying to, use the entire tee box, but what's feasible with the way our sprinklers are set up and everything. I think that's probably a problem too. So good job on that. No issues with the carts, but we are proactively looking at how to safely manage, maintain the lithium batteries, fire extinguisher, the appropriate lithium aspect. Fairways 7 and 8 punched, also punched tee boxes, lower 6, 3 and 4, followed up by top dressing and seating. The park lawn near the post office is back 100%. It's beautiful over there. And that's it.
Thank you. Director Dixon for Kern Fire Safe Council.
I was not able to attend that meeting, so dark.
Okay, thank you. Director Nicole Gates for Planning.
Planning originally met without a quorum, so the full agenda was not exercised, including nomination for officers. However, the committee had Mark Greco present to update members on the status of the aspects of the strategic plan that were put together based on survey questions submitted to planning by emergency preparedness in order to track their goals and items of importance. So he was there to provide us with updates so that the committee itself is not interfering with other committees in order to track these things. It was a great idea, thanks to Gail Coe, our planning committee chair. She has really been taking an active role in communicating with these other committees and attending their meetings, and also keeping that line of communication open with other committee chairs so that they can provide us with updates in the most effective way. So we were tracking items listed on the strategic plan under egress, under member education, things of that sort. Still a work in progress, but we at least got some preliminary information.
Thank you. Director Blethyn for Mill Potrero Mutual Water Company.
Wait a minute. The water company only has quarterly meetings, so the next one will be in October. So that's when I'd have more information about what's going on in that regard.
Great, thank you. Director Debbie Bailey for Pine Mountain Club Commercial Property Owners Association.
I am going to defer this to Madam Chair as she attended the last meeting.
Yes, so they had a discrepancy with the original election, and it has been rescheduled, I believe, for September. The specific notes I had must have been in a different bag because I could not find them, but I will summarize everything to the best of my recollection. So they were largely discussing or informing me, rather, because they were already fully aware of the plans for their next election to be moved to September. They are currently faced with an enormous challenge when it comes to resurfacing pavement, and they are trying to solve that in the most effective way. They discussed events that the commercial center has been putting on, and I inquired whether it was a coincidence that they're usually scheduled for the third Saturday of every month, including today, which is the car show. And I was told it was a coincidence, but at least I brought it to their attention so that they can be more aware of it in the future, so that there wouldn't always have to be a choice of attending a board meeting and/or attending one of these events. Aside from that, I don't think there was any other major business. They were having an informational meeting because a quorum was not met, so there was no official action taken.
Okay, thank you. Director Seglia for Equestrian Center Committee?
Hello. So we haven't gotten enough people to volunteer yet, so we're waiting for resumes, and once we get them, the board will vote on them. And then I've heard that in the grapevine that we actually had some volunteers. So,
Maybe next month.
yeah, maybe next month. So I'm looking forward to that. But I want you guys to all know that there's a open house on the 29th of August. It starts from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. over at the Equestrian Center. They're doing free pony rides. Getting a pony ride. Petting zoo, face painting, horsemanship demonstrations. Show up. People need to come and kind of visit and hang out with the horses because they're cool. Everybody loves horses.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
What date is it again?
August 29th.
Okay, thank you.
I'm looking forward to this. This is really cool. Thank you.
All right, okie dokie. All right. Committee minutes acceptance. The board received committee minutes from Emergency Preparedness, June 2026. Where the rest of the minutes are, nobody knows. All right,
Most committees were dark, if you remember.
know.
Okay.
yeah, I think
So everyone
the
else.
Bear Committee minutes came in like one day too late. Okay, let's see. We received, we have to motion, yes. Motion to approve one environmental control committee project and one cottage industry permit.
Do I have a second? Sean is not here, everyone. so-
Second.
Was that Jim? Okay. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor of approval? Motion carries. Was that an aye for you as well, Tom?
Did, yeah,
Okay.
Aye.
Okay.
Yes.
and Andrea. Okay, all right. Okay, here we go. Members Open Forum. The Board of Directors values and encourages member participation. This 25-minute Members Open Forum is for members to share thoughts, ideas, or concerns related to our community. Members wishing to speak are kindly asked to step up to the microphone, address the board chair, and state their name, tract, and lot number. Each member will have up to 5 minutes to speak. To help keep the space respectful and productive for all, we ask that comments be shared in a courteous manner, free from offensive or disruptive language. While the board might not respond immediately during the forum, all comments will be thoughtfully noted and referred to the appropriate staff or committee for follow-up as needed. Questions that cannot be fully addressed during the meeting and require additional follow-up may be submitted in writing or emailed to the recording secretary, and the question will be responded to within 15 calendar days upon receipt. In addition, the member's name, tract, and lot number must be included. Thank you for your continued engagement and care for our mountain community.
Good morning. Finn Morgan, 3566362, Chair, Board of Directors. I think you all know Abby Gwynn from Fish and Wildlife. She is smart, a nice person. I've talked to her many times, but she's not a management person. I talked to her about the problem bear we have in my neighborhood. Abby wanted to place a trap, but her supervisor put it on hold. so I started making calls. First call was to Supervisor Veronica Guzman, who told me she was assistant to Julie Vance and did not handle the trap. So I called Julie Vance. She does not answer her phone. She says, leave a message and I'll call you right back. She never does. I called 20 times. I finally got a call from Assistant David Hacker, a total waste of time. I also got a call from Brian Stevenson, captain of law enforcement. I know Brian, and we had a good call. I got a call from Nathan Grapeline, also useless. Finally, Julie took my call. We had a good, friendly conversation for 45 minutes. I think she was surprised she was friendly. Fish and Wildlife has a problem. I call it top heavy. A lot of people in offices don't accomplish a lot, and only a few out in the field. But I think we can still work something out. I asked all I talked to, can PMC POA and the members do more to help fish and wildlife? They don't like to criticize, but the answer was yes, we can do better. Some of them said we can do a lot better. Why not? My question to the directors is, have you ever talked to anybody at Fish and Wildlife? Who and when and what about? The problem is worse than I thought. Abby came out to my house last week on Monday, or this week on Monday. I mentioned to her that I heard the big bear she is trying to capture has broken into 6 homes. She said, no, it's way more. How many is way more? She did not know the number. Your guess is as good as mine. Is it 10, 15, 20? Then I said, I heard there were 5 problem bears in PMC. Abby told me, now there's a lot more in PMC. PMC has an invasion. It is a big problem. Now it gets worse. The trap has an iron grid in front of it and a door that's open in the back. When the bear takes the bait, the door slams closed. Then the homeowner calls Fish and Wildlife, and they come out and capture the bear. I've heard from Abby and Julie, so I believe it to be factual. They have many cases where somebody opened the door and let the bear out. It is not only illegal to open the door, it is also very dangerous. A trapped bear becomes very vicious. I've seen that firsthand. This is one problem where PMC Patrol could be a big help. The Fish and Wildlife people come out to get the bear. They're from Bakersfield. At best it's 2 hours. At worst it's 8 hours or more. Patrol could check the trap multiple times a day and night. And when the bear is trapped, they could they could stay and guard the trap to make sure that no idiot lets the bear out. Are the directors aware of the opening of traps? Have you asked Patrol to help Fish and Wildlife? Are the directors in favor of doing something to stop this illegal conduct by members? I'll send you my question by email.
Hi, my name is Tom Smith. Unfortunately, I don't have my lot number with me. I've been in communications with
Can you, sorry to interrupt, will you just provide us with your address, please, in the
1524 Zermatt Drive. In any case, I've been in correspondence with our general manager, James Williams, regarding our pickleball courts.
We have a discussion item for that, so we don't need to use members' open forum. If that's what you're addressing, we have it on the agenda. It has its own designation following this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we'll just, okay, thank you.
My name's Raymond
The mic,
Bridgers.
Raymond,
Sorry,
the mic.
sorry. My name's Raymond Bridgers. The number is 3566427. I have a question regarding the solar for the clubhouse. I wonder if in the midst of your discussions with the vendors, has it come up as a way to perhaps save money for the clubhouse and also open this up to members with the vendor, kind of like we do with the asphalt, where if you want your driveway paved, you can, and maybe there's a way for members to get a cost break as well as the clubhouse. I just wonder if that's been discussed.
It hasn't, but I can definitely contact all three vendors and pitch it. I mean, you know, with volume, that's not a bad idea. Yeah. Thank you.
If there are no additional members, we will be, oh, here we go.
Good morning.
Morning.
I do appreciate the new format. Gave me a chance to listen while trimming my garden this morning. It's a beautiful day. Nice to do some work in the shade rather than in the sun. I want to make a few comments.
Sorry to interrupt, Paul, if you could present your name
You
and.
bet. It's Paul Mobley, 3402-307. I attended several of the committees, and I'm not going to be talking about my role in the committees. I'm going to present what I see as a member point of view. First off, I would encourage people to vote for our mutual water company. To get those votes in will save us some dollars, and we can always save us some dollars. The rates on the water company have gone up 42%. Their capital reserves in the last 8 years has tripled by 3.1%. I was concerned about that, and so as a member, I attended the water company annual review on July 11th. Very informative, very informal. The board had never met before. They were open to questions. They were very reassuring that our water is supplied from our several wells, and they went into very detail why they needed the money for the reserves. That being said, I also went as a member of the planning committee to address water conservation. I brought these concerns to James in the financial meeting. There was some opportunities for us. Within a few days, our showers are leaking several days. We have to do something about controlling our water, and I've made some emails in suggesting on that. The well water, well 7, comes in at higher than what used to be 50 ppm arsenic levels. We are in a range that has natural arsenic coming from the ground, and so that well is about 22 ppm. They do mix it before it gets to the water treatment facility, and they do treat it, and then it goes out to their community. One of the surprising things that I've learned is the hardness of our water is pretty hard. So if you don't have a water softener like what we're dealing with the pool, you're gonna have equipment failures, early stuff like your water heater and things like that go bad. I went with Terry Butler. We had many conversations about what was going on. He had some concerns given his concern about cancer and arsenic. Now, I've done some research. I worked in the gallium arsenide business, so I have a bit of knowledge about how to treat arsenic in wastewater, and spent some time with Rob. So I would say he's a very good resource. We need to work with him to reduce our water consumption. Some really bad decisions were made When watering our Lambkin Park, we're fully on a same meter, 2-inch line that is charged at the same rates that your home is. That was a surprise to me. Okay, there's a lot of information that I tried to share with the planning committee. I got there late because the power was out that morning. If you remember, we had a fire, and I drove through it that Friday and woke up with no power. I was 10 minutes late to the meeting. People were happy I was there because they said there was a quorum. Now, this morning, Nicole Gates says there was not a quorum. I sat through the meeting. It stayed till 12:30 from 10, so we were there over 2.5 hours. I was there 2 hours. And I tried to raise the question about the water committee and what we were doing there for conservation. So they've tabled that, and hopefully the planning committee will take that action, although they spent 2 hours on other issues that were very important, and we can move forward with that in the next planning committee meeting. I would say if you really want to know what's going on, you need to be active. We have had many people that asked to come in, get involved, get some support for these committees, and I'm one of them. We need to have more people so that we're not on the verge, whether this is a quorum, someone's 10 minutes late, do we have a quorum or not? So I would encourage people who want to know the truth, rather than getting on Facebook and making some claims, talk to the chairman of a committee, get involved. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to clarify that it was 30 minutes into the meeting when I originally said that. And what I said, I'm not interested in arguing. And what I said was that because there was not a quorum, so in the chair's meeting prior to this, I have a chair in the audience, she can confirm what I'm saying, and Gail Carroll Coe, our planning chair, were there. We knew ahead of time, this is not an argument, please. We knew ahead of time that multiple members of the planning committee said they would be out of town, and we discussed what we would do because we had a guest coming to the committee from EP. And we all agreed that the meeting should go forward as an informational meeting, regardless of whether there was a quorum. Otherwise, we wouldn't have even been present in the room past some time after 10. So the meeting, quote unquote, meeting went ahead to simply gather information from the EP chair. It was not.
Point of order.
I am not.
Point of order.
Speaking. What is your point of order?
When I heard our chair blame people for not talking, a whole group of people this morning, and the reason that the seats were taken out was because they were interrupting. This was 5 minutes for a member to talk. You asked not to argue about this. You've argued repeatedly in meetings with people, and this is not Robert's Rules of Order. The rules are there for democracy, for that individual to speak. I attended the meeting. It was called to order. I was there. I see it differently. You see it differently. Thank you very much, Chair.
You're very welcome. You mentioned me by name, and I have every right to clear the record. You literally mentioned me in your statement to the board, and I have every right to clear the record. The meeting was not an official meeting because there was not a quorum, so we were having an informational session, and around 25 minutes after, we had one member previously attend, so we were close to a quorum, and around 25 minutes later, we had a quorum, so the meeting was, somewhat official. We didn't go through the full agenda, which is why officers were not nominated, and that is all I need to clear up. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
If there are no additional members, we will move ahead.
Okay. There's no old business, so now we're on to new business. And we have a discussion item up first. It is titled, would you like me to read it?
Yes, please.
Okay, October 2025 Secretary of State Statement of Information Filing.
I'm going to hand this discussion over to Randall, who has done all of the legwork and analysis, and I appreciate it very much. And his goal is to inform the membership adequately. We will open this up to comments from the members as well, once it is concluded.
Yeah, and, say, George did a lot of the legwork as well, tracking this.
Thank you, George. I apologize for giving Randall too much credit.
It's an interesting topic to discuss. Basically, every corporation has to file a statement of information with the Secretary of State. And there it is up there. That's the one that was filed. So every 2 years, basically, we change officers, we change legal firms. We interviewed and found a great new law firm, so the notice, you know, the Secretary of State needs to know, if someone says, I'm going to file a lawsuit, who do you serve notice to? It's an information statement. And street address, et cetera. I can't see, this is the one that was filed, George? Yes. Okay. Yeah, the, basically, so we needed to update it. And for context, this isn't a form that requires an officer to sign it. It isn't a form that requires a director to sign it. It doesn't require an authorization. It's an administrative task performed by an administrative personnel. And they used the wrong form. And they used the wrong name. The name they used up there is, it says Pine Mountain Club POA. I'll show you our articles in a few minutes. We're Pine Mountain Club Property Owners Association spelled out. And those details are important. So this was an administrative error, and it was good that it was brought to the attention and it was corrected, because we needed to get the proper notice out there if someone with the Secretary of State. But it seems to have kind of has a life of its own recently, as though something maybe untoward has been taking place that somehow, I'll go through it in detail. The name isn't Pine Mountain Club, it's the wrong name. It doesn't agree with our Articles of Incorporation. It's an informal administrative. No one filed any Articles of Incorporation with it, even though that's on the heading of the form. And if in 60 days after any filing, if you don't provide the information, in the articles, is it 60 or 90, George? I forget. One of the two. That's okay. If you don't provide the information that needs to accompany it within a very specific time period, it automatically just goes into, it's not effective. There were no, again, this wasn't an intent to create a new corporation, so there were no articles filed, and this whole thing was a clerical error. And then, for some reason, there is an impression that this was created to transfer all of our association's assets to a new entity. It's almost hard to address the concept like that. Number one, you can't do that. It essentially, and even if you wanted to do it, you'd have to ask yourself why. There's no reason to amend our Articles of Incorporation, where, with the current tax filing status, whether we're a 501c4 or Section 528, it does not matter one bit what our Articles of Incorporation are. So there's really no reason to do anything. And if you wanted to move all of our assets and liabilities to a new corporation would trigger massive consequences, especially if it wasn't approved in open session and voted on by the members of the community. I mean, so I'm trying to go through very quickly and saying it's great to have member input. The community's a great check and balance for everything that goes on here. And when in doubt, ask questions. George, can you hit the second one? There's a great website with the Secretary of State. You don't need to have a password or anything. So if you put in the one that was causing the confusion, it now shows as terminated, right? And because George let them know this was an error and they very quickly terminated it. Had it been a real filing with real articles of incorporation for a real company, you're not going to just get rid of it because George said to. I mean, there's protocol and procedure for all this. And I apologize for the minutia detail here, but yeah, the filing's been terminated. You would have had to actually terminate an existing corporation, you got to go through the Franchise Tax Board, you have to have member votes. So again, to assume this was a nefarious means of transferring all of our assets to a different corporation, it's hard to explain. Sorry. The third shot, George, if you put up what is actually the name of our association, there we are. And now you can see there's two down there. The Property Owners Association across the street has a similar name. The second one is us. And George will hit the next slide. And this is, anybody can do this. So I'm just saying, I'm trying to point out, if there's questions, ask. And if you don't want to ask, a lot of this information is available. And if you look at the right-hand side, it shows the status of Pine Mountain Club, Property Owners Association, not POA, everything's fine. And our assets are still here, and our liabilities, and all, I mean, to transfer assets and liabilities is, you think of all the property that's in the name of one association, the contracts. I mean, it would be an impossible task to even pull it off. Property's in the name of the current organization. We have bylaws. That new organization had nothing. So again, I'm trying to clear this up because it seemed to have gotten misconstrued. So basically, and then George can put up our actual articles. I mean, if you submit an article, you get a stamp, you get a number, the Secretary of State refers to it. It's very official, and if you go on our now working website, you can look at all of our articles of the whole articles of incorporation, if you like. It's all there. And then they also require notarization. So there's a very official process to doing anything. Big surprise working with government, right? They have protocol, and again, this is just, when in doubt, ask. There's really nothing changed, and it would be inconceivable that anybody could actually attempt to move all of our assets to a new corporation. I mean, I've dealt with mergers and acquisitions in a prior career, and you wouldn't do it that way even if you wanted to. Buying assets, I mean, again, there's ways to do things like that in a complicated corporate world, but to set up a similar name yeah, sorry. Sorry for jumping around, but if anybody has any questions of the board first, I guess, for discussion, and then.
Yeah, and really quick to clarify, I want to add a detail that I'm not sure got communicated. This was filed by a previous member of staff. This document was not filed by a member of management or a member of the board. It was not signed by any officers. It was submitted by a previous member of staff. And my own personal question would be, if there are individuals who imagine that there's this world where the board of directors is conspiring to get, a new articles of corporation filed, I don't think it would be very effective if we did it through a member of existing staff at the time. So just please, also one more important fact. This information was not sent, there was no inquiry sent to the board of directors or management. This went straight to Facebook. No one even bothered asking us, or even updating us, or even notifying us that this was discovered, so that we could have addressed it, so that we could have fixed it, so that we could have simply clarified what actually occurred, which was an error, human error, and we are all human. Again, this is a trend. It is a vicious trend. It is unhelpful, and it is unproductive. And one would be wise to question the method of communication used while somehow leaving the board of directors and management out of the loop. Any discussion by board directors?
Yes, I would like to add to this conversation because it was a clerical error. I think that we need to look into establishing a different policy in which how we do file our statement of information. And I think it should get approved by the board versus clerical staff. And you can go online to file this information, which means we're giving the employees access to go online and file something inappropriately, which is what happened. So I would like to have a further discussion at some point on how we could avoid this in the future.
Any additional?
Just to comment on that, it's essentially the updating of the information statement isn't really a board responsibility, but I think a second set of eyes on anything that's being submitted, it really falls under management's responsibility. I mean, this is just clerical work. It's not, there's no, so yeah, I agree. And to be honest, I'm very comfortable it won't recur. But on the other hand, too, if somebody sees something, ask a question. What I said earlier, too, the eyes of the community are helpful checks and balances. But to assume something is better to say it's a question. Start with a question and bring it. It's great. It's valuable. So I'm glad this showed up. It just took a little way to get to the right place. But yeah, no, I think you're right. Definitely the procedure around who has authority to update that needs to be looked at. But it really, we can't have every clerical thing go through the board.
I have a question. Was that a previous employee? So how do we keep the current employees accountable? Do we? Can we?
Yeah, that clerical error, that individual is no longer here. Now it's solely under the administrative officer's role. So
we have an officer handling it as opposed to a member of staff below management. She's a management level.
Okay.
But also to correct a statement, a member online has informed us that there were signatures on the document. I think I may have said management did not sign it, but she has.
Yeah, there are.
So to correct my statement, it was signed by management and the attorney. However, what they were signing was intended to be a statement of information. They were not intending to sign an application for articles of incorporation. So if that helps to clarify. Any more comments? Go ahead, Debbie.
Okay, so I did go online, and when we filed the certificate of dissolution, it does ask, was the dissolution made by a vote of all of the members, or if there are no members, by a vote of all of the directors of the California Corporation? And we answered yes. So I think at least at a minimum, there should be something that the board should be apprised of. And again, we should relook at our policy on who has access to file these forms online.
I know George handled that dissolution, and there were no directors or members of the one that was being dissolved. Since it was a clerical error, there was actually, it wouldn't have been up to us to vote. it was a name that, it came from us, but it wasn't a Pine Mountain Club Property Owners Association form, so again, we weren't needed to, it could have been, it was dissolved appropriately, because it was just an error in the first place, but I agree with you, in the future, that would make sense.
And to clarify, James has informed us that this is now being handled by a manager. So it is no longer being submitted by staff that is under management. It would be our admin officer responsible for this information. And she is in constant communication with James, and if need be, would update the board. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll open this up to questions from members, if there are any.
Good morning again, Paul Mobley, 3402307, real quick. Randall, you posed this issue to the Governing Docs Committee, and it took shortly to pull up the the website for the Secretary of State. Pulled up both the document that was posted on Facebook, the one that was posted to the Secretary of State inappropriately. So within 10 minutes, the answer was obtained. I would like to approach this issue with a different perspective, because I come from a background of problem solving, and we use 8D problem solving. So defining the problem here, it sounds like there's multiple problems that this raised. Who's responsible for filing? Who's responsible for extracting? That responsibility is gray. It's in the penumbra. So we need to clarify roles and responsibility, why this error took place, and then you also address the issue of Facebook being a problem. And I think that's a key factor. I'm sharing this because it didn't take me much more than 5 minutes. The time it takes for people to go off on these tangents, doing inappropriate research, inappropriate stuff, is a waste of our community time. So I encourage community members, be available, talk to our appropriate people. It takes maybe 2-3 people to find out who's the appropriate person to talk to, and they will disseminate better information than what you could try to extract yourself. So thank you.
All right, if there are no additional member comments, we will move forward in our agenda.
Okie dokie. The next discussion item is pickleball club facility use proposal.
So we have the pickleball club president, is that what you, or is your title? I would have, James, if you could give us a quick update, and then we can get some.
Yeah, so history that I know today, Mr. Smith had approached me several months ago regarding court use times, existing reserve times, and asking for more times based on pickleball activity versus tennis. So, you know, a broader conversation, obviously, you know, in my opinion, and I had asked Mr. Smith to come here, had asked the chair to add it to the agenda. So, I mean, the important thing here that I maintain my focus on is amenity use for members and guests. Any schedules, times reserved, and it spreads across other amenities too, not just pickleball. But, you know, those things are not things that I put in place. I really want to draw from and adhere to governing docs as far as usage of the amenities. But I thought it would be important to bring it up in the open session. And if you could, you know, if you could describe where we're at today on reserve time, and then what additional times based on I guess based on activity, which basically is there's a bunch of folks that play pickleball. I know. I was just there a couple days ago, and it is literally primarily used for pickleball. I almost rarely see tennis players, rarely. I think the problem is we probably didn't put in enough pickleball courts back in the day. But now we're forced with, trying to support membership on use, especially a club. I do think tournaments, I think those are appropriate. As far as how much time is fair for the club, I'm just not sure. I just think we need to discuss it, understand how much time is being used today, how much additional time is being asked, and then take it from there.
So would you like me to summarize what we're prior approved from the past general manager? We have use of the courts for 2 hours on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. Mondays, right now, is from 9 to 11. Wednesdays evenings from 6 to 8, and Saturdays from 9 to 11. Now, there are 2 tennis courts. Our club has 4 different courts that we can use. We can put 2 courts on 1 tennis court for pickleball, because they're less than half the size of a tennis court. What we were previously approved is to have exclusive rights for one tennis court. If we had other people that came in that were tennis players and we were using the other tennis court, we had to give it up. And if somebody came in and they wanted to play pickleball that wasn't a member of our club, we wouldn't have to give up the whole tennis court, because if a couple people come over there to play pickleball, they don't need the whole court, because they'd have to have 2 different groups in order to do that. So in that particular case, if we had, say for example, we had all 4 courts used, and somebody came out there and wanted to play tennis, we'd have to give up the court. If it was just somebody that came in there that was just pickleball players, and they were using just 1 court, we'd only have to give up 1 court, so then we'd be using 3. Okay. That's what was originally approved. Because of the growth in our club, we have paid members, over 63 members. It's not uncommon that we have all 4 courts being used. It's very disruptive to have to pull people off the courts, especially if it's in the middle of a game or whatever. So our whole idea is to have exclusive rights under the conditions that, as long as we have all 4 courts that are being used, that we wanted to be able to use the court, both tennis courts, for the full 2 hours for all 3 sessions. If we're only using two pickleball courts, the other ones are available, for tennis players or people who are not members to use the court. The whole point is that we're talking about 6 hours out of a whole entire week that we're asking for. There are so many hours that those courts are not even being used, either by pickleball players or tennis players. And as James mentioned, there's very few tennis players out here. And there's one individual wanted to represent 4 or 5 different tennis players, and they were agreed to have exclusive rights for 2 hours for the Monday and Wednesdays, but they weren't in favor of granting us the whole 2 hours on a Saturday, even though it's not being used in any case. So the whole point is that we're not really asking for a lot of time. We already pre-approved. Now we're just asking for another hour because our club has gotten so big and it's very disruptive. You have 16, 17, 18 people out there. We've got 4 courts used and there's not even enough room to put them out there on a bench, you know, waiting to get out there.
What is the additional hour that you're asking? You said so right now it's 9 to 11 Saturdays.
We're not asking for an additional hour. We're asking to be able to use both courts
I see.
for 2 hours
I see.
versus 1 hour if somebody comes.
Okay.
And it really hasn't been an issue, except that there's one tennis player that I was warned from other tennis players that we're going to have a problem with them. That's why this all came to a head. And the thing that came about initially is that one of our members didn't follow protocol and went over my head and went to you as well as our recreational director and tried to get approval. And that's how this whole thing came to head, because I was very disturbed when I found out that somebody was not coming to me first. Anything that happens with the pickleball club should come through me first before I contact James or anybody else.
Yeah, we understand that predicament. We're going to open this up to questions from directors, but we also are interested in as much public feedback as possible because this is just a discussion item. We're not taking board action. This is a facility use permit situation. And prior to the board making any decision, we would like to hear from as many members as possible so that we have a realistic view of the situation and whether there are implications for those who would like to play tennis, et cetera. So first I'll start with directors. Does anyone have questions for Mr. Smith? Andrea.
How often does it happen that you, and which days of the week, that you have to give up one of the courts? Like how often does it actually, are you getting
It can
interrupted?
vary. Mondays is not usually a problem because it's in the morning and some of the members in our club and so forth are working. But on Wednesday evenings and Saturdays, those are our busiest times.
So does it happen every week that the tennis player shows up? And
No, it happens rarely. In fact, several of the tennis players that I know of personally, that Ray, the guy who was representing some of them, they had already told us before, says, well, if I had known that this was, we'll just change the date that we play, you know, to a Thursday or Friday. And these are the only people that I ever see that are actually play regularly. So it wasn't really a problem until this one individual who I was informed by the other tennis players, you're going to have a problem with him. And so I was having to deal with him, and I had no other communication other than with him.
okay, so it seems like one person tries to make a point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tom, and then Jim.
Hi, this is something, I'm over here. This is something you can't work out and just work it out and talk to the individual.
You mean when it happens without having
Yeah.
the time?
Have a discussion with them.
Well, when they come, anytime anybody comes out there, and we are using all 4 courts, say that they have some people that are playing under the current rules, we'd have to give up the court. So there wasn't any discussion to go forward.
So they'd push
We
it.
actually had a sign out there that we only had exclusive rights for the 1 court if somebody else came.
Okay, so it's actually in writing on the court.
It's not now. We took everything off there. There's nothing up there
Okay.
because of the controversy of whether James is going to approve it or whether it had to go to the board or whatever.
Okay.
Jim?
Is there a tennis club that is commensurate with the pickleball club? And if there is, do they have any slotted times where they have exclusive use of the facility?
There is no tennis club. They don't have any slotted times. This was several years ago. I've been up here at Pine Mountain Club for 10 years, and I started the club with 4 other women. and been an instructor. But about 10 years prior to that, they had over 80 people here, and they did have a tennis club. That's how it's changed. A lot of tennis players no longer play tennis, now they're playing pickleball. So it's been and it continues to be the fastest growing sport.
This is going to be a guess on your part, but how many people would you say, in your extensive use of that particular amenity, how many tennis players are you aware of that use the facility?
4 or 5,
Really, just 4 or 5?
Yeah.
On a regular basis?
yeah.
Mark and then Debbie.
Another question here. So you said you had 60-plus members in the club. What percentage of those are actually PMC residents? I mean, are they all?
No, we have to submit each year to the recreation director a list of all the members, all the data in there, and what their addresses and whether they are members here. So we can't have club membership that exceeds 30%, and it's well below that.
Okay, that's what kind of I was wondering.
Yeah.
Just so you know, I taught pickleball for.
I'm going to interrupt you. Just can you borrow Jim's mic? For those online, Director Blethen's question was what total percentage of the club was made up of residents?
I'm sorry, I was using my
members.
coaching voice and I didn't realize it didn't go over the web. I taught pickleball for a number of years at a community college, and I know that pickleball and tennis can coexist. It seems more of an issue of scheduling and planning and notifying people when it's available for one sport, because there is setup time. You know, you've got to set your pickleball equipment up, and then tennis can be there, but you know, it does take some time. So if they knew ahead of time that on these days, Monday, Wednesday, Friday are pickleball days. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday are tennis days. People would know and then not get upset that they got there, and that's something that maybe on our end we could probably do. The idea that they can't coexist, I think we can do a better job and make sure that everyone's addressed. So
We have a sign out there that shows the scheduled times out there. So on both ends of the court. So anybody that comes in there sees right away, you know, what time our club is using.
in one follow-up question, why can you only get 2 pickleball courts on 1 tennis court? My experience,
We do.
no, you should be able to get 4.
Not on 1 tennis court.
On the courts I have built.
The court's like 44 feet long, and 2 of them is over 80 feet. Tennis court's maybe 100 feet. There's no way you can
facility
get.
was a little bit bigger for each tennis courts, because we gotten 4 on it. So I was wondering why we thought maybe we get more people out there, which would be great.
No, we get as many people as you can possibly get out there. And by the way, we were addressing these problems here 4 or 5 years ago, and we tried to get the club in to put additional courts out. And we hired somebody that came out and did all the analysis and all that stuff. But that's when the club was putting together the so-called Taj Mahal, and there's no way they were going to prove anything with all the money that they were spending on that deal. So we had to drop that completely.
Thank you.
Debbie?
Yeah, I guess I just want to make a comment. My concern on exclusive use on Saturdays, for example, we do have members that come up only on the weekends, and if they want to bring their family, which I have in the past, to play pickleball, typically we go in the morning because it's cooler in the morning to play pickleball. So I guess that would be my only concern, is that let's think about our members who are maybe only weekenders, and they show up and now they can't use the courts.
Just to comment again on exclusivity, like I mentioned, even being granted the 2 hours for the court doesn't mean we're going to be using it for both courts. It all
Right, but it
depends on
means
whether
they
somebody-
can't.
No, the exception to the exclusivity is if we're not using the other court. If we're not using the other court and the people show up, they can use the court. It's only that when we have enough people to fill 3 courts or 4 courts, that's when it becomes exclusive. If we have, you know, we're using all 4 courts and we have people waiting to get on, then it's truly exclusive at that point. But it's not if we're only using 2 courts or 3 courts. If we have 3 courts and pickleball players come in and want to play, we don't have to give up anything. They can use the 1 court that's not being used. It's only when we had tennis players, they need a whole tennis court. So if they came and we had, it was what we're requesting is having 2 hours, they wouldn't be able to play. If we had enough people to fill out 3 courts or 4 courts, they wouldn't be able to play until we finished our 2-hour period. And that may not even be for 2 hours. That could happen in the middle of playing. Maybe we're only using 2 courts and somebody can use it. And then we have new people come in later on. So it's a kind of a moving target, whether or not, you know, we can have other people come out there. But the main thing is that it's not total, the definition of exclusivity only applies under the circumstance when we have all the courts being used, and that's not happening all the time.
So prior to going to Director Dixon, I just want to clarify, it sounds like if we're not thinking about tennis players for the moment, it sounds like there would be room for compromise by allowing 3 out of the 4, potentially leaving a single pickleball court open for weekenders or others. Because once the schedule is set, these individuals will assume the court is not open to those outside of the pickleball club for those hours. They wouldn't be attending necessarily, right? So I just want to throw that out there. It sounds like one potential avenue would be to allow one of the 4 to become available if members were wishing to use it for pickleball. But then again, that's not including the tennis players who are also weighing in. I just want to throw that out, because like I said, remember, we're looking for as much member feedback as we can have. This is just a discussion for questions and answering, and the more information we have from members, the better decision the board and management will be able to make so that everyone is taken into account. Jim?
So I just want to make sure I understand the lay of the land. We have a total of 4 tennis courts.
2 tennis courts.
2 tennis courts. And at any given time, you are using, so two pickleball courts per tennis court.
Yes.
So there's a total of 4 potential pickleball courts.
Correct.
Okay.
As far as having, for this particular meeting, I told all the people in our club, I just was going to represent the club because I'm totally familiar with James and I having lots of communication. I didn't want to have a big audience. I could have had filled this whole room in here if I wanted to. So if you want to have more participation and get other opinions, I got 63 people. Probably 44 of those people would show up here.
Yeah, we're looking for a balanced opinion. I understand the goals of the club members, but we would also like to hear from non-club members so that we can make sure that we're considering everyone who will be impacted. That's the goal. We want to make the best decision possible for our members, so.
Understand?
Tom, go ahead.
How long does a tournament actually last?
It varies depending on what kind of tournament we have and how many people are participating. Generally, we have to show, depending on during the summer and the winter, during the summer we start earlier. We have to be there at 7:30 in the morning to get everything set up and have somebody discuss the aspects of the tournament. And the tournament can last anywhere from 2 to 4 hours, depending on.
So it would exceed the 2 hours?
Pardon?
It would exceed the 2 hours?
Oh, yeah, it could definitely do that.
Okay.
Tom, I think that's already part.
That's once a month.
James, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's already part of their agreement, is that they're
Tournament use?
given tournament use as is, correct?
It's longer than the 2 hours?
Yes, I think it falls into a separate category of its own. It's a different usage when it's a tournament versus their regular blocks of time, which is the thing where,
So outside of reserve times, a tournament, we would post, just like the swim tournament, or is that what it's called? The swim meet? But, yeah, that would be separate, just like any other event we would have, town hall. So I think we can manage that. I mean, the only thing I think of is, I kind of see it like, when you go, I don't hang out in bars, but, you go to the bar and it's got the pool table. So you got two guys or gals playing. I put my quarter up there because I'm next. So if you have pickleball set up, because I know it's a thing, you got to set up the nets and everything. If it's set up, I mean, isn't it feasible that, like, if I've never played, but if I came with a partner that I can't just jump in, a game plays, whoever wins, they step off, and then anybody that wants to play just kind of get on the court and play. I mean, isn't that feasible? I mean, it's just sharing the court. It's all set up. Exclusiveness is kind of built in because it's set up and you folks are already playing. But if somebody wants to play, they should be able to play.
Well, first of
And-
all, anybody that comes in here to play, if they're not a club member, they have to put their own nets up. We financed and paid for the nets ourselves. We actually donated 2 nets that the people can check out in the pro shop. We just got tired of putting the things together, when you go out there. So we have several $1,000s worth of tennis, our pickleball nets that we have locked up to the sides of the courts. So when we come in the morning or in the evening, it doesn't take us hardly any time at all to set things up. And there are occasions that when some people come that are either property owners or they're guests of property owners, they have a guest card, if we're not using the courts, we'll let them play with us. Not as a regular basis, just as a courtesy, because they don't have anybody to play with, and they probably don't know how to put the nets together or whatever. So we're accommodative.
all right, thank you. If there are no further questions from directors, we can open it up to the audience. Okay, thank you so much. That was very informative.
Ron Freeman, number 340-5030-000. I'm wondering if it's possible anyone has considered painting lines on the basketball courts. It seems with 63 people in a club that they need more than just 4 courts anyway, especially for a tournament.
Can you use the mic?
Sorry, especially for a tournament. So I'm wondering if anyone's considered the possibility, it's literally just painting lines on the basketball court. They set up their net and they can play pickleball. They could have however many would fit. Mark probably would have a better idea of how many could be put into a basketball court, because I think that there might be less exclusivity. I understand that there aren't as many tennis players. However, it is a tennis court. So while you can share to a certain extent, there are members probably that play tennis that have been tennis players for a long time and have been here for a long time, and that's an amenity they expect to continue to be able to use. So it might reduce some of the conflict if we have a facility or a place where we could accommodate a lot more pickleball players. Obviously, you're not going to, something to consider, I don't know about lights or things like that, but if it's daytime, as he was talking about morning tournaments, you could use them all day long. And there's, what, 2 basketball courts over there, I believe. So you could even see how many you could fit into there. Anyway, I wasn't sure if anyone had considered that as an option.
Yeah, thank you.
I was thinking of that, Ron. You must have beamed it into my head. I was thinking the same thing, but I didn't know. Like, is it level enough? The ball's going everywhere. But yeah, I was thinking it too.
There's more expense than just relining there. You have to have permanent posts that come up there in the middle. That's a permanent post. Plus, you got to have it fenced. Otherwise, you're going to have balls flying all over the place. So there's a lot of expense involved. It's not just putting relines on a basketball court. And you got a lot more basketball players around than they have tennis players. So you're going to have a problem with them.
Any additional member comment?
Paul Mobley, 3402307, as a racquetball player, basketball player, tennis player, and I've played pickleball. It's not the same. I agree with Ron's assessment. The basketball court should be available. There is equipment that needs to be done, fencing, things like that, that would restrict balls, but you would not want to convert a basketball court to a tennis court. It would be far easier to manage a pickleball court. The point here is utilization. This is a good problem to have, actually. You want to utilize the space more, and so how do you get utilization? You get predetermined times. You have a sign-up sheet. You have it online. Do that all the time with racquetball courts. You reserve it a week ahead. You have certain time slots segmented. This is actually one of the better problems to have if you can predict when people are going to play, when they're going to enjoy it, how fairly it's going to be distributed, and then maybe an investment in a card reader for the tennis court. You can discriminate. I should say, let's use the right word. You can identify who's using the court. You get your numbers on how many tennis players really are actually in this community using it, that are members, and that we're not just attracting a lot of pickleball players off the mountain to consume this important resource. So I would first start with an online sign-up sheet. Make sure you bracket out what is determined to be bracketed off spaces. And there are 2 tennis courts that are available to make 4 pickleball courts. 2 basketball courts could be expanded, and that could be used for a temporary tournament. And you could already assign that space before you start investing the money by determining how many people would actually use it. So let's do the low-cost solution first, a sign-up. I do it all the time. You sign up a week ahead of time, block off times. Let's do it the right way.
All right, if there's no additional member comment, we will continue.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Smith, for being here. I appreciate it.
Okay. Onward. Director Randall Gates for the first resolution on the agenda.
I don't know, but I'm so cold.
All right. I, Director Randall Gates, move the adoption of the following resolution, number 1 for 8/15/26. Excuse me, approval to purchase a replacement for the gas range oven, reserve item CK-6 at a cost not to exceed $8,000 as presented here. Let me just go over it without going through all the whereas points. This is the range that's been there, had an estimated useful life. It's, I guess, in 2009, so we're definitely far over what was originally estimated. And it's been repaired many times, and the risk we have was both, the 3 items we have on the resolutions today are all at risk. If they fail suddenly, we have a lot of downtime, and they're already showing signs of pretty much being at the end of their useful life, which could be imminent, I guess, should be another code. The one in the reserve study, this is a Wolf Range 36-inch fry top for all. Pretty much high end though, and so really when they were looking at replacing this, it was made sure that the bids looked at, what's changed since 2019. Are there other options available or more cost effective and all that? So they did get bids on low tier, mid-range, and similar tier quality, and the range here, mid-range, fell within the 5,600 to 12,000, almost the same price as the high end. Management has recommended that we stick with the same class of equipment, which is fine with the reserve study, and in this case, it would be under what the reserve study has provided. So, motion that the board approve the purchase of this and the cost not to exceed $8,000 for the reserve study.
All right. Discussion?
Excuse me.
Mark, and then Tom.
My only question with this, I mean, I think it's, we're probably going to have to replace it. I just wanted to question and make sure that the equipment we're buying now would be compatible with whatever renovation we do with the kitchen as the process when we're actually, are there plans in the clubhouse renovation that's going on, the roof, the inside, to do anything with the kitchen? And if so, would these be compatible with it? Because I haven't seen those plans. So. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, James, good time, James. I know this takes one other consideration was the same footprint, the same size. And this fits into, this basically can it swaps right into what we have existing. And I know of no plan to really expand anything beyond that. At this point, though, we just don't want it to go down and be 2 weeks behind while we're waiting for the replacement.
All right, Tom.
Question, yeah. So there's been thousands of restaurants that have gone under, thousands in the state of California. And I know there's plenty of used equipment that we can actually purchase. Is that something that could be considered instead of buying new?
I know they did a lot of looking. This equipment, and there's been a lot of repair and maintenance keeping this working, and they're falling apart. It's in the reserve for like at the same class. We put the money away. We have the money. At this point, since I guess it is an imminent situation, I think it's a good idea if we could maybe understand ahead of time, maybe Tom, where some of these outlets would be in delivery, cost effectiveness, warranty, and all that good stuff. At this point, I'd rather go ahead with this, but I'd like, maybe there's something we can do to, when we're doing the reserve study again, even identify alternatives. Because you're right, restaurants are going out of business right and left in this current economy.
Yeah, it's just something that I had a little bit of experience with my own restaurant.
Oh.
And it was something that we never really looked into buying new. We always looked into buying new stuff, just because of that fact that they're so expensive. And Wolf is the top of the line.
Yeah.
So, there's Imperial, there's other brands that are out there that aren't so top of the line that you can consider and save a little bit of money.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea as we move forward, if we can get a head start to identify other options. I agree. But I also agree with Randall that this particular instance is more imminent. But Jim?
Yeah, I did not get my pancakes this morning.
Exactly. We need to get Tom his pancakes, everyone.
As long as Jacob cooks them, I'm good.
Yeah, I think one thought would be, because the reserve study is getting more and more scrutiny every year, and when we look at the remaining useful life, we need a term for imminent demise, maybe, or let's start planning. If in other words, that'd be great, because then there wouldn't be quite the rush, and we might have already identified something you could swap in. These are already down. DOA, basically.
So let's remember that,
Great suggestion.
let's remember that these items have a useful lifespan. So just because we're getting an item cheaper doesn't mean it's going to get the full useful lifespan of a new item. So we're going to just be replacing it in a shorter duration, even though we're getting it for a cheaper price. Another thing to consider is 36 inches is a pretty specific size that we need to backfill. Most kitchens have 48 or 56 inch in a commercial kitchen. This is a commercial stove, stove. But it's really meant more for a residential application for like upscale kitchens. I think we'd be hard pressed, especially with the quote unquote imminent demise of a critical piece of kitchen infrastructure, to go hunting for that at this point in time. Might be something to consider in the future, and it's worth looking at right now. If we can find one that has less than a year's use on it from a restaurant that went under relatively early and after its inception, and that's sitting there for us to take advantage of course we should take a quick look. I would not spend time hunting for it, though.
That's a good point. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, I was just going to add that this resolution doesn't prohibit us sourcing it as used from another location. It just defines what we have by with a not to exceed. So if we could source it as a used sale, we could do it, and that won't prohibit us from passing this today.
That's another good point. Thank you. Yeah. Any additional comments from directors? Would any members of the audience like to speak?
I agree with what you're talking about. I worked in the semiconductor business, and we found that going to used equipment exchanges when other fabs would shut down, we would know right away. And if this is a common tool, you can save hundreds of thousands of dollars and it make a difference in overall bottom line in your kitchen, your return on investment, even if the usable life is significantly less. So I would take this opportunity to use this as an exercise, and exercising what are the kitchen merchants out there that deal with this, see if you can actually identify any other line items within our reserve in the same likeness, and see how successful you are at determining. I found my experience getting something returned meant the difference between funding someone's project or not. So it's well worth looking at our reserve study and the light items that have long life. I mean, shorter lives, I should say.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, if there are no more additional member comments, let's go ahead and put it to the vote. All those in favor of the approval to purchase a replacement for gas range oven, reserve item CK6 at a cost not to exceed $8,000.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Motion carries.
Okay, part two.
Yes.
And this is pretty much covering the kitchen at this point. It's been allowed to sit there a long time because of plans for the massive expansion that was planned. So a lot of these things were kept a little longer and kept being repaired when they were really ready to be replaced. Randall Gates moved the adoption of the following resolution. Number 2, for August 15, 2026, purchase of a replacement for the flat top oven, CK15, cost not to exceed $12,500. Jumping through it, very similar situation. I mean, this is falling apart. The walls of the oven are falling apart. This is a safety hazard as well. I mean, it may interfere with pancake preparation, but it also is risking a fire and all that. What's unusual here, and I want to use it as an example because we've pointed out in the past, reserve funds have been used excessively for things they weren't put away for. You get a budget, you have reserve items, and we say we need this much money every way to replace these items. And in the past, the funds have been used for things that weren't actually in the budget. But if the estimated replacement price is wrong, if the value in the reserve study is incorrect, which in this current economy, it'd be easy to be understated, or the residual life is wrong, it's still in the reserve study, it's still covered by reserves. Even like, so in this case, the second item here is $2,000 over what was in the reserve study for a like-for-like replacement. And what the resolution is requesting that we charge the reserve study for that amount, which is an appropriate use of reserves. It's not excessive, it's just reality rears in this case. So we have a flat top, another wolf, right? Yeah. And that was why they went back to look for more bids, because this to me is, like you said, a home, more of a home kitchen appliance. However, the repair and maintenance of the existing one is, I mean, it's lasted a long time. It's far exceeded what the original estimated useful life would be. It too was purchased in 2009. So management did go back, they did look, and the recommendation was to go ahead with the like-for-like in the reserve study.
We're talking about two different
Hold on, we need a second first.
Different items.
items.
I mean,
Hold on, one second. We
Second.
haven't opened it up for discussion yet.
Okay, yeah, sorry. So, yeah, I resolve motion that the Board of Directors approve resolution number 2, 8/15/26, approving the purchase of a replacement for the existing flat-top oven at a cost not to exceed $12,500 from the reserve fund.
Do I? Sorry, who was that? Mark.
Blethen stole I did it. I never get to second. Fine.
You can third.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thirded it
Matters in the third.
in another realm.
Okay, discussion? I can't remember now. I think it was Tom. Okay, Tom and then Jim.
First one was the grill top. And the second one is the grill top, and the first one was the oven.
Gas range oven was first, so we were wrong about your pancakes. Now they matter.
Now they matter.
Yeah.
Okay, so now.
The responsibility for your pancakes rests with
Just so we
item.
know, I found a thing on Facebook that I'd like to share with Jim,
That
or
was,
James, about purchasing through a vendor. And it's here, and I can send you the info, and you can kind of look it over and check it out. They look brand new.
Yeah, to Mark's earlier point, we're just approving the not to exceed. Yes, so but any information will be helpful. And Jim?
my question was just to clarify what we were exactly voting on, because there was some confusion. So the first one was a gas top stove.
Gas range oven.
Gas range stove.
Yes,
And the second one is a oven and griddle combo?
correct.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, I appreciate all your appliance and restaurant know-how because I did work as,
Yeah.
server for many years, but I wasn't in the back, so very much appreciated. Any additional questions, comments? Would anyone from the audience like to comment? Okay, all those in favor of approval to purchase a replacement for flat-top oven reserve item CK15 at a cost not to exceed $12,500. Thank you very much. Motion carries.
Okay, last but not least, the pool. Let me make the motion first. Randall Gates moved the adoption of the resolution number 3 for August 15, 26. Approval to purchase a replacement pump for the pool, reserve item PS-3 at a cost not to exceed $9,100. As the GM has been mentioning, the pool has been configured oddly, and we have, it turns out, a few other reserve items that probably need to be identified, so that if something fails, it can be promptly addressed versus trying to figure out what we have. So I guess you know, the whole schematic of what needs to be done there. This one was installed in '21. It was new. Pump had a useful life of 4 years. And again, this is a case where in the reserve study, it's in at $7,500. And as we know, not only the equipment, but the installation, the labor hours have gone up exponentially just recently. And so this is a heads up for the next reserve study too, to possibly factor in more inflation factors. It would be normal when the software allows us to make broad assumptions. Because again, we're getting kind of a wake-up call here. But again, this is, without the pump, there is no, this was jacuzzi or the pool? I forget. James? Okay, yeah, all right. I just had jacuzzi on the brain, I guess. Yeah, but again, if this is down, it's not working, it's not filtering, and it was urgent. And so what we're asking for is motion to approve for number 3 for August 15, 2026, slightly over the $7,500 in the reserve, similar to the stove, but a cost not to exceed $9,100.
Second.
Yes.
Wait a minute,
Thank you.
discussion.
Ben, Sean isn't here, it could be a split second.
I know. Discussion.
That is, yes,
Tom?
curious. Are those under warranty? Those motors?
They were purchased new, James, correct? They had warranty.
The pump, we're talking about the pool pump?
I'm assuming, yeah.
That's new.
So it's new, so they're under warranty. Do they have an extended warranty? Is there something that,
Haven't looked into extended warranties.
if they're new, then that means they're warranted.
I can look into the warranty. I mean, the labor, I'm sure that's
Well, yeah, labor's different, but just the motor itself should be under warranty.
yeah.
Put a pull into.
I have a lot of equipment to look at for the pool, a lot.
And the original, I want to point out, the original useful life estimate at the time was 4 years. So I don't, and it's already exceeded that. I mean, these get a lot of use. And our hard water up here is not easy on anything. So it's not surprising. But yeah, it's good to see on replacing it if there is a warranty, but I doubt they'd go. I think the labor here is the biggest cost, if I recall. The equipment is not anywhere near as significant as all the things they have to do to install it.
How old's the pool? 4 years?
It's around the same age as
21.
that pump, actually.
21?
2021.
Put in?
4 or
Mid-COVID.
5 years? I remember I couldn't go in it when I first moved here because it was still being built.
It was delayed due to COVID originally, so
Okay.
they were working on it during that period,
So it's lasted 4 years.
almost 5, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Any additional discussion? Would anyone from the audience like to comment?
I'm getting my exercise this morning. Paul Mobley, 3402-307. Randall, you brought this up at the treasurers meeting, and I appreciate the heads up on that. You also mentioned that our budget for labor has gone up. Last night I was at the pool. We had 2 people attendance. We only had 1 person swimming. So there's a opportunity cost there. Supposed to have teen night, yet no teens showed up. 8 o'clock, the pool was brightly lit. But that goes to your issue on the labor. On the pool pump issue,
Correct.
I have worked with some people in Santa Clarita, do refurbishing. It might be important if the warranty's gone to keep the housing in case there's an emergency shutdown of the pool, that you don't lose the ability. You could refurb a motor, put that in a storage place that you could immediately bring the pool back up, so as to not incur the downtime of the pool until that next motor gets either repaired or brought back online. So I'm thinking of it from a utilization point of view. The pool goes down because a motor is bad. A lot of times you can tell by the sound of the motor it's going, and some preventive maintenance of observing the sounds of the motors before they go is one of the things that we did at Intel. We had acoustical sensors on our motors and could predict failures before they happen, okay?
Interesting. Yeah, no, thank you. And I know the discussion with James has been by having more standard and consistent components, we need to have replacements available, not go look for them when something fails.
Yeah.
So the idea would be to have similar, right? If they're all standard and the same, then we can have a backup that could be, tell me if I'm off base there, James, but I know that was one of the goals.
Yeah, I
We
wanted
had something
critical.
on the shelf we could put right in.
I wanted critical spares since I walked into this building and, we're not there yet. I mean, but the first thing we need to do is just ensure we know we have the proper equipment installed correctly. Then I don't know how spares would work, in association with the reserve budget, but we need spares, even for, for winter. I mean, we need critical spares. We're definitely going to work towards optimizing the equipment, ensuring that we have all the right equipment, we have everything in place to be able to manage the replacements, and we'll get there. I'm just very anxious to see the status. I mean, to have it really top down, checked out, what's not installed correctly, and we know we do have to address the softener. The softener is a big component, probably the root cause, I guess. So,
Yeah.
All right. I will move ahead with the motion to approve the purchase of a replacement pump for the pool reserve, item PS3, at a cost not to exceed $9,100. All those in favor? All right, thank you. Motion carries.
All right. Motion to approve the updated charter for the archery club.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Debbie. Discussion?
Okay, I went through the charter for the archery club, and I do have some changes I would like to make to it. So I guess I would like to make an amendment to the charter so that we can still move forward with it.
Yeah, I think a good way to do this without doing all that back and forth would be, we can discuss the changes that you're looking for, and then once you have an idea of the amended change that you settle on, at that point, we can do the motion to amend. I don't think we need to start with the specific amendment. We can simply discuss. And then, does that make,
Yes, and it's broad anyway, so I'll read what I came up with. So I would like us to replace the Archery Club Board of Directors, which you will see in Article 5, change that wording throughout the actual charter and use club officers, just so that we can clarify that we're not talking about the Board of Directors, meaning us, and so that club members and everybody understands that we're actually talking about just club officers. I also would suggest that we just remove Section B of Article 6. And then I would like to add that any future charter amendments affecting PMCPOA, authority, property, funds, employees, et cetera, requires PMCPOA board approval. And that we could also authorize minor wording and formatting edits to the charter to reflect implementing these changes.
Jim?
Can you tell us what is in Article B that you would like to remove? I don't understand the entire article, but what is the context of the article?
Yes, so Article 6 is titled Officers and Their Duties. Section B says these officers shall also act as the Board of Directors. And then it goes on to say what the Board of Directors should do. So I think we should just eliminate that, and I don't think it will affect the actual content of the charter itself.
Good point.
Okay, would you like to make a motion, Debbie? I just want to summarize it in a very clear way, if
Yes, I would like to make a motion then to change the wording throughout this charter to replace Board of Directors with club officers, and also to remove in its entirety Section B of Article 6. And in doing so, I'll end it there.
do I have a second for the amendment to replace Board of
Second.
Directors? Okay, with club officers and also removing Article, oh, I wrote IV, but it should be VI, 6B. And so Andrea seconded. Discussion on the specific amendment being, okay. Motion to approve the amendment to replace Board of Directors with club officers while also eliminating Section 6B from the charter. All right, motion carries. Now going back to the original motion to now approve the amended charter for the archery club. Okay, motion carries. I want to note that Director Blethen stepped out and was not present for this vote. Okay.
Motion to approve the proposal to establish a beginner's lesson area at the PMC POA Archery Club as presented by the Archery Club.
Second.
Discussion?
James, you and I never ended up walking that diagram you sent. It seems, do you have an impression of what the safety and the, we've had problems in the past with some challenging areas for safety there. I just wanted to get your opinion.
I recommend that, I looked at it, I look at it every day. I know the spot, I saw the map submitted. I did a Google Earth on it to get a little better topographic look on it. But I know the area that's being proposed. You know, I definitely have some concerns. I would like if a few directors could be designated to go walk it with me, get right on the site. I mean, you know, you can see it from a distance. The concern is it's adjacent. It's adjacent east of the current archery range. It's east. It does have a backstop, the entire hillside, you know, up to the ridge. I mean, you know, it has the backstop. The left and right limits and the controllability, just, you know, beginner in itself, just, it just raises concerns. You know, I'm always concerned. Injury, you know, accidents, you know, insurance, liability, you know, legal. I definitely have my look and my perspective, but I would like to get a couple different opinions on it. I think that would help quite a bit in this.
Can you send us an email with just a pin drop so we can all go there and have a look at it?
I got a map. I got a map on it. I can make sure everybody has a look, but I mean, if we could go check it out tomorrow, I could make time.
I'll let Randall respond, and then we have Tom.
Ideally, because there were problems with the original configuration, not the beginners. And it'd be great to have a kind of a top-down topo where you could show the direction of people accessing the existing range and the direction of, I mean, it'd be good to recap the visuals here, because you're right, the hillside is fine behind. It's really difficult, unless they could mark the area out with, you know, story poles, like where we could get an idea. It's really hard to know, because there's a equestrian trail there, right? You're near the golf course.
The Boneyard Trail goes
Yeah.
right through that section.
So it's difficult to really evaluate the risk, or whether the risk is being properly addressed without actually, I mean, in my mind, it'd be nice to see a diagram map where the existing one, and you got arrows showing
Yeah.
potential, yeah, and then where the pedestrian traffic goes to get to that range versus even that's going parallel to the beginner range, I believe. So again, I think a visit would be good, as well as having it laid out on the ground even.
There's also hikers. It's not just horses.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
I'm not, yeah, other than that, I'm fine.
Tom and then Jim.
I've actually shot there before, so, I guess you gotta get a special permit to do it. I'm not sure how long that lasts. It is next to the golf course, number one. It's definitely next to the horses coming down that little hill there, and I've hiked that multiple times. So it is, like you said, an insurance thing, so wherever we put it, we have to take that in consideration. And then when you have beginners, who's to say that the beginners, oh God, let's shoot it over at the golf course kind of thing. So it's a huge concern, because that's like a deadly weapon.
Jim?
So I guess my first question would be, what specific issue is this solving? What's the impetus or the motivation behind creating a beginner's range versus advanced range? Because as a range master and a law enforcement firearms instructor for almost 20 years, we'd never have a spot on a firearms range where we would have beginners shooting on their own, potentially in another direction, not under the specific supervision or tutelage of people who are more experienced. So I guess my overall question is, what's the benefit of having a beginner's range, and is the construction of one addressing a specific issue that the current range does not?
So I will read to you from their executive summary as much as possible that could answer that question. It says, the purpose is not simply to add more space to create a safer, more organized, and more welcoming environment for new archers, youth instruction, and supervised lessons. Then it goes down to say that the land would have a meaningful purpose. It would allow instruction to grow while protecting the flow and safety of the main range. There are also offers, typo. It also offers easier access for persons with disabilities and families. And then they conclude by stating the recommendation is supported by Official Archery Guidance. USA's Archery's Archery Park Guide states that a separate area should be considered for beginning archers and classes. Though Mark, I want to remind the board that we have the option to defer this in order to gather additional information, so just keep that in mind. Mark?
Yeah, I read through this, and the one thing that, at first it sounded like it was completely an educational site. In other words, it'd be supervised lessons and training, but it doesn't quite say that if you really read it carefully. It's for first-time archers, they would be able to use it. It doesn't say they'd be supervised at all times, and maybe I misunderstood that. I would definitely, you kind of took away, I would definitely need to go out there and see it firsthand before I could vote on approval of something like this. So I think I would prefer that we deferred this to the next meeting and give ourselves some chance to do some more on-site investigation.
Debbie just made me aware that we have a member from the archery club president. I don't know if it's the club president or not. Scott, I apologize, I did not know you were here. We did say as presented, but I didn't know your face or your name, so I apologize. If there's no other immediate comments, we can welcome Mr. Robinson.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you for coming. So maybe let's start by answering Jim's question. Since I just read from your proposal, do you have any more information to add about the benefit of the beginner?
I'm sorry, what was your question exactly again?
What specific problem would having a separate beginner or instruction area range solve?
Okay,
What's the current problem that would mediate?
So, just like a quick background, I got certified through USA Archery, which is a national recognized archery, organization. Similar to, I know, like, I'm sure you've heard of JOAD being in, previous law enforcement and stuff like that, or like NASP, which is the National Archery School Program. So essentially, I had to take a bunch of online tests. I had to take like safety courses. I had to then go and, get certified through a live coach. I had to go take my equipment. I had to, run stuff through there. I had to get a background check. I had to do all that just so I can get certified. And that gives me the ability to, if I really wanted to, I could go to a school and I could teach an archery program. I could go to a, like a daycare or, some sort, anything like that. I could teach adults and children archery. And it's not just like, oh, I paid, $50 and now my dog could get on the plane. With this fake certificate, I'd actually go and, do all these steps, and it cost me quite a bit of money. But I did that because I was helping another gun range who wanted to set up an archery range. And they kind of offered me to help out. So I was like, you know what, I'll help you guys. And I started getting along with that. And then right around that time, or not even around that time, but a short time later, they closed the archery range down. So I reached out to the chair and I said, hey, I can help you. I'm certified. I understand, the guidelines, the safety issues and all that. So he was kind of busy, and then he kind of said, hey, how about you just take this over? And I said, sure. So essentially what I'm doing right now is I'm working on making the archery range safe and making it fit all the standards for like, if it were to be like a public range, for example, you would have to make certain steps. And I'm doing this based not on just myself, I'm doing it based on the USA Archery's, proper setup, as well as I'm referencing the International Bow Hunters Association's, proper setups, because what they do, they specialize more in like 3D ranges, but they have certain, specific requirements for targets. For example, there's a certain degree that you can't put a target, less than 15 degrees from the next target, because that's kind of the degree they accept is, and you can hit someone else standing there 15 degrees, whatever. So with all that said, the whole point of the beginner's area is because, well, there's 2 points. Number one, the archery range is very small. We only have one 15-yard target. We have 120, 130, 140. And oftentimes when I'm giving a lesson to especially kids, but adults too, when I'm starting them out, they're shooting at like 10 yards and they have to step forward. So if anyone else were to come to the range while I'm trying to give a lesson, they effectively wouldn't be able to shoot because we're standing in front of the shooting line to move up to that target. The beginner range, and then the other point is, which is, I almost don't want to say it, but the current range is actually like kind of pointing toward trail. And although it far exceeds the 15 degrees of safety, I mean, like you were saying, a beginner can just be like, yeah. So, but it's not really part of the issue in my opinion, but the point is, like, it's a very small range. We're shooting at much closer, targets when we're doing beginning. The area proposed is it only goes out to 20 yards. It has an extreme stop of the mountain. So there is no, like, even if they were to sky fire their bow, it's not gonna hit anything, it's gonna hit the mountain. To the left and right is very wide, and they're literally facing away from the trail. The trail would be behind you when you're shooting. So it would be very hard for somebody to, like, even make a mistake if they saw a squirrel. They would still be going to the left or to the right, which would be very far away from the trail. I have absolutely no problem, this getting deferred. We all go out there. I can meet whoever wants to go and I could walk them through it. But this is simply, it's it's a little bit about more space, but it's more so about, hey, can we have an area where if we are given a lesson or if someone wants to practice and they want to stand closer, they don't have to like worry about they get there and there's somebody there shooting and like, oh, now I can't shoot, or maybe they're intimidated because the guy's, you know, knows what they're doing and they're worried they're going to make a mistake. So then now, you know, going down. So, but the main reasoning for it originally was like, you know, I was looking at the setup through the USA Archery Park Guide, and it recommends the beginner area specifically for those reasons. You know, you're shooting at a closer distance. It gives them an opportunity. Number one, it gives me an area where I can give a lesson without having to worry about affecting the very small range that we have. It is a much safer backstop. And I mean, addressing the somebody just showing up and shooting, you know, unsupervised, one of the things that we added to the charter that was just approved is anyone who signs up now has to come to me and get certified before they can, you know, get their tags and get the code. And I added that in there for safety. Like, I don't want people to just be like, oh, I bought this bow on Amazon. I'll pay my 20 bucks or whatever, go to the range and do whatever I want, which is how it's been. And, you know, like I think it was Tom mentioned, this is a weapon, you know, essentially. But I also want to point out that if you look it up, I think there's more injuries in ping pong than archery. And that's another thing you can find on the USA Archery website. And it's something that, you know, my 6-year-old daughter shoots a bow. I believe, isn't your son, you know, like, isn't he like number 3 in the NASP? Yeah, Andrea's. Yeah, so, I mean, and these are kids at Peak to Peak. Also, Ashley Bigsby, who teaches, she's certified through NASP, and she is part of the archery club, and she has agreed to help me, you know, as part of the, I don't know what we're called. I guess I'm the president or the chair, and but like, we're just trying to get more people to shoot archery, enjoy it, and do it safely. And the proposal for the beginner area is that, I know it seems like, you know, you look at a picture of it, you hear, oh, there's a trail and there's the golf course. If you actually go there and walk there, which I'm more than happy to do anytime, multiple times, you know, I can go, if like someone needs to go and they can't make it tomorrow, let me know what day you can make it, I'll meet you. It is a much safer area for beginners, and I think it's just, I understand the concerns. And, you know, the goal is to, you know, if this were to be approved, I mean, we're going to have to do a lot of work to get it going. It's going to be a long time anyways. We're going to have to, you know, kind of market out where it is. We're going to have to get new signs ordered and put up so everyone understands what it is. And I'm just going to be like, oh, cool, this is approved. Let me go throw a target out there and we'll start shooting. Like, this is going to be set up the same as we do at the other archery range. We're going to put the signs, we're going to market it, you know, and make sure it's designated. And anyone who's going to go shoot there is going to have to come through, sign up for the range, get certified through me, which means I'm going to meet them in person, go to the range. We're going to go over all the rules and I'll make sure they understand the basics before they can go and shoot. As well as I'm offering free introductory lessons to literally anyone who wants them as well, as well as club members. You know, I'm just giving them out for free. I put a bunch of my own money to buy bows and some stuff, and I'm just doing that. So just throwing that out there as well.
Any other questions from directors? All right, thank you so much. That's very
It's a
informative.
very short microphone.
I know, sorry about that.
You're a very tall man.
We
My
would've-
back out. So.
We normally have one of our committee chairs in the audience who's a professional boom operator, and she would have adjusted it for you, but she could not make it today. Okay, if there are no additional motions on the floor, so will you use the mic? Sorry.
I'd like to make a motion to defer this item until the following meeting so that we have a chance to investigate in person.
Second.
Okay, 1 second, let me just jot some stuff down. Discussion on the motion to defer to the following meeting in order to give directors an opportunity to, James would like to say something?
I just wanted to add, yes, I think location is step one. So phase one, I see a couple things. I think location for sure. Once it's drawn out, Google map it, including the current and the proposed, I would, work with insurance, make sure our insurance is tracking on that. And then my only thoughts are, if it were approved, the configuration, the setup of the range, control points. And, the things that jump out at me are, like a live fire range, you have a range flag, and everybody's aware. Sometimes we blast it out and make sure, is there anyone downrange? But I don't know what more we can do, but I think we need to think of everything that we can think of for safety, just because it is, set adjacent to the existing range. Is there a way to control, like a grenade range? You got separation between each pit to where it won't go next door and blow somebody up. But, things like that is what jumps out at me. Just a phased approach. We take one step at a time and make sure it's just controlled and safe, ultimately.
Any additional discussion on the motion to defer?
Just avoiding the grenade range is a good idea, but thank you. I agree, James. Thanks.
All those in favor of the motion to defer the archery club? And Mr. Robinson, if you could share your contact information with the board. I'm sure we can get it from James, but just be aware that we'll be getting in touch with you because I'm assuming a lot of the directors will take you up on your offer. So if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And then my original proposal, I had included, I don't know if you all get it, or I don't know how it works, but I included aerial shots that I took with my drone, Google Earth. I pinned it with the Google Maps. So, with the latitude, longitude markers, all that. And, I try to take a lot of good shots. But again, I have no problem with James sharing. He has my phone number and my email. You're all welcome to have it. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right. Information and correspondence. The board received the environmental control recap for the month of July 2026 and the patrol recap for the month of July 2026. And the board received 10 items of correspondence. Okay, now we're on to members' rebuttal forum. The members' rebuttal forum is a 10-minute period that follows the it's not following the director's forum anymore.
We need to change.
We'll reword that. This offers members the opportunity to briefly respond to any matter raised by a director. Each speaker will be given up to 1 minute to share their thoughts. Members wishing to speak are kindly asked to step up to the microphone, address the board chair, and state their name, tract, and lot number for the record. While the board might not respond immediately, all comments will be respectfully noted.
Okay, if there are no members who wish to speak, we will continue.
Okie dokie. Adjournment. In the July 18th, 2026 executive session at 8:30 a.m., the following was discussed. 1, potential litigation was discussed. No contracts. 2, forbearance agreements were discussed and approved. No liens were discussed. There were no hearings. Exhibit A1, 7/2/2026 foreclosures were discussed and deferred. There were no appeals discussed. There was 1 personnel issue discussed. There was 1 director information and correspondence issue discussed, including 1 committee member discipline issue discussed. The next regular open board meeting will take place on September 19th, 2026 at 10 a.m. in the Condor Room. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, everybody.